by numbers.
Hey guys, welcome to the ClevelandMoto podcast number 495. Why don't you light them up, boys? And you know what? Let's do a count off. Let's do a sound off. But we always do it from my way, your way. Let's flip it around and let's change it up this morning.
Okay. Let me open this up. Let me open it up.
Wait a second. Who's that over there? Wait. With the maroon cat. With the maroon cat.
Who could that be?
Who in the hell is that?
Johnny Mac.
There's a
Johnny, you look like shit.
Johnny Mac, God, man,
will be played by.
I'm gonna call it off like I always do. To my immediate left, we have and to his left, we have
Steve Sleepy,
and to his left,
Speedy Pete,
and to his left,
the grumpy sewer guy.
Hey. There was much rejoicing, and to his immediate left.
Chris Smith.
And behind the bar today,
Tom Pennington.
And your humble narrator, Phil Waters, kicking things off for episode 495 of the ClevelandMoto podcast. It is awesome. Light them up, boys. Yes. Get them going. Sorry, for the people playing at home, we don't have the monitor down there to look at today. It's just, I just don't have it. So I
technical difficulties.
I brought the wrong laptop. I brought the crap top instead of the laptop. That is unfortunate, but we will persevere. And that is just the way it works around here. Today is one of those, we've had false spring. Mm-hmm. We are about to have my favorite, which is Fool's Spring. And Fool's Spring is the favorite. Fool's Spring is the one that we usually get on or about St. Patty's Day. And tomorrow is going to be 70 degrizzles.
When can you deliver my bike?
Right. That's been the call today. That's been the call all day today.
The good news is Chris Smith's bike, which is in the shop, we can just go, just bring your ass in here and fix it.
Yeah, you're coming in. Show it. Right, that's fine. Yep.
Chris Smith's bike singular?
Yeah. So there we go. Everyone's saying welcome back, Grumpy Sewer Guy. Their chat. The chat has already exploded.
Yay.
Yay. So tomorrow's going to be 70 degrees. 70 degrees in Cleveland is a big deal, especially when that happens in March and not May, right? It's kind of a big deal. But what do we know is that we know that next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's going to be 24.
Yeah.
Okay?
It'll snow again.
It's fine.
Yeah.
If you now what I just did yesterday is I took the big snowblower out of the shop and I took it back to my house.
Well, you fucked us.
I did.
Absolutely. Well, the good thing is I've got the little snowblower that I can ride to work.
Right. This is true too.
Because it will only do 2 miles an hour, but the reality is it will get me to work.
It will get you to work. Yeah.
We're having our polar opposite of Indian summer right now.
This is how it goes. And if you're new to Cleveland, this might surprise you. But if you're not new to Cleveland, you know that this happens every year. And we've already seen it. How do we know? Do you look for the groundhog? Do you look for the robin? No, you look for the bike with the fresh damage down the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Because the guy was like, I don't know what happened, man. I was just riding and it just got away from me on the salt.
On the salt.
The
cinders.
Yeah.
It's really summer when Hogsback is open up in the metro parks.
Yes,
they open the gates there, and then it's summer.
When Hogsback Lane is officially opened, you're like, okay, it's springtime. We can go
Stinchcombe Hill. Actually, Stinchcombe Hill. But
that's true too. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that there has been a single year that we've had spring, right, that I didn't have to come into the shop at least one day and have the guy show up with the bike that was crashed 7 minutes ago.
I even told you last week, I said, I'm not going to start riding until the first real proper rain.
Right.
And the next day we got an inch of rain, but the day after that, it all froze.
Yes. And then they salted again. Yeah. And that last application of salt is one for the record books. They really go heavy with that.
After seeing the side of my beater with a heater disintegrate.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm going to hold off.
Well, people might not know this, but they mine salt under the Great Lakes, under Lake Erie. There's those great salt mines here in Cleveland, so they don't spare the salt when it comes to it. And they make cars here too, so
you get a hell of a deal.
So the faster they disintegrate, the more cars they sell.
And then the more salt they need, the more cars.
So Phil, how many rains do we need?
So we need one good rain. So our philosophy at the store is, if we get a good soaking rain, like, 3 or 4 hours, you get a good soaking rain. And I found no substitute for science.
Yep.
I will go out and I will literally swipe my finger down the road and lick it. And if I taste salt, well, it's there.
That is truth. Because when I was driving the car to working during the winter, you could taste the salt coming through the air conditioning.
Absolutely.
Like if you breathe, you would breathe salt water.
Yeah.
It was like being at the beach.
As Johnny Mac might say, once you get past the smell,
You got it licked. You got it licked. It's
Once you got it licked, you're past the salt.
right. Well, and here, this is the thing. That bike came in today. It didn't need to be crashed.
Yeah.
Had the customer waited 1 week, if yesterday it was quite warm. It was quite warm, and we had a flurry of people coming in. And he's like the guy who's like, yeah, I was just bringing my bike in to get its spring service, and I laid it down in the metro parks.
bummer.
That's that's terrible.
You know how many Ducatis I've seen out like the day after a snowstorm?
Oh,
like just
God.
with salt everywhere with all those beautiful, like just exposed anodized parts just absorbing that salt.
Well, we took 2 other calls today for crash bikes. So one showed up in person yesterday, laid out the whole left side, and then I took 2 more calls today about people that are like, "Oh my God, I crashed my bike," and they're all for the same reason. It's poor maintenance. The tires were underinflated. The guy who rode his bike in, who crashed it, I checked his tire. His back tire had 12 pounds of air. His front tire had 8 pounds of air. Okay,
Well, that's the thing, because you will literally put a gauge on everybody's keychain that rolls out of the shop.
They're free.
Yeah.
I give them to everyone. If you don't check your tire pressure, it's on you. And if it's so important to you to get to your bike to the shop for its spring tune-up, put air in it first before you drive it.
That's one thing you got. The second thing you got is there's all kind of salt and sediment in the corners, so it's slippery. And then the third thing is you're rusty because you haven't ridden for 2 months or something.
Oh, I got on that Gootsy the other day, and I goosed it, and I went, "Oh right, I forgot. I haven't ridden in 4 months."
Right. It's absolutely true. When you've got dusty skills, you got a dusty road, you got really dusty skills, right? And you've got to go into it. You get out in the parking lot first, practice, make sure you understand the way your motorcycle works. You've taken a year off, man, right? You've taken a winter off. Go out and practice. It's free.
I brought this up, but then this other dude that I followed, that's like a super instructor, like he has all the certifications and stuff. He was like, not enough people at the beginning of the year go out and go to a parking lot and practice braking. He was like, like it's going to happen. You're going to have to emergency brake, and you don't want it to be the first time of the year is when you're like, holy fuck, I got to emergency brake, So that was like a really good idea.
Anybody who was at my shop today would have seen me in my parking lot doing figure eights and panic stops on every single brand new bike that we're prepping and putting out to the customers. I'm doing figure eights and I'm doing panic stops on every single one of them. Why? Because 1, it helps me freshen up my skills. But 2, I can't send a bike out in the world not knowing that it's not going to do ridiculously small figure eights and really violent panic stops right now in a hurry.
Right.
We live in a world where it is almost impossible to buy a motorcycle that doesn't have ABS systems. Okay? It's almost impossible to buy a brand new bike that doesn't have ABS. One of the artifacts of having an ABS system on your motorcycle is that there's a place for air bubbles to hide. And raise your hand if you've ever found air bubbles hiding in the ABS system of your BMW.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what happens is they accumulate there over time. If you're not riding your bike for a long period of time, the air bubbles that are happening through your entire braking system are going to end up in your ABS controller. Of course they are. Now, when do you find them? When you panic stop.
Yeah, when you need them.
When you need them. So if you haven't gone out there and exercised those demons, the first time you use that maximum force braking, you're not going to have them there. Your brakes are going to be forming less than optimally. And maybe it's a good idea to also think about maybe changing your brake fluid every 3 years.
Well, we've been kept running into that lately. Is every 2 to 3 you need to replace it.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah?
What's an ABS controller cost these days?
Oh, that's going to be $1,900 plus labor.
You got it.
And the closest company that will build them is in the UK.
That's right.
And that's $500 plus shipping.
Yeah.
So
if you think you can stretch a couple more years out of your brake fluid, it ain't you that we're worried about. It's the ABS controller.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is these ABS controllers, the valves are sticking.
Well, what is it? I'm gonna say this wrong because I always do. Hygroscopic?
Hydroscopic.
Hydroscopic.
Exactly. You said it right. There's a G, not a D.
And
Yeah.
And it's .4 will take moisture out of the air no matter where it's at, no matter what you're doing. And every 2 years, it will turn to crap.
Yeah. It's just a great thing to do if you want to get to know your braking system, it's a great thing to do. It's a great thing to pay your mechanic to do if you want your ABS system to work. We got a gentleman just brought a bike into the shop, and he was very sad to discover he no longer had front brakes.
Yeah.
Because his front brake lever is incompressible.
Well, it's locked out.
Yep.
And then when I tested the brake lever itself, the brake lever works fine.
Yeah.
The ABS is locked.
Yeah.
And it's the worst part about this is that it's just locked.
I'm sorry, man. It's locked. Right. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do to go in there and relieve that pressure. There's nothing I can do to go in there and remove that valve.
The bike
and clean
is
it.
7 years old and has never had, to my knowledge, the brake fluid flushed
I
out.
100% guarantee it's
So-
7-year-old brake fluid.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100% guarantee it. So that's one of those things we tell people. It's springtime. There's a lot of things to think about. A hell of a lot of things to think about.
And even then, because they're, as much as I come from a humid environment, this is the moisture from the snow around here. It might be a first of the year spring season brake fluid flush thing.
Yeah. No, it's something people don't think about because people have only had a few years to get used to the idea of having ABS systems on all these motorcycles. And, people have been reading their BMW manuals that 15 years ago, the BMW manual said, make sure to change your brake fluid every 5 years.
Yeah.
Then the BMW manual said 4. And now the BMW manual says 2.
Yeah.
So that's not something that we were used to.
And that's more I'm assuming to the rubber components in the nitrile or whatever they're using in the components in the ABS pump now reacting to .4. Harley was smart. Years ago they went to .5, which is a lot less corrosive and a lot less hygroscopic.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the things because they used to use O-rings instead of, they still use O-rings that are crush washers in their brake lines. And that's one of the things I've always thought a little weird, but works better.
They can control that.
Yeah.
They can control that across their line because they're only getting those components from one source.
Yeah.
So you're only getting a component from one source. If you're getting your components from Brembo and Grimeca and all these different sources, well, then you're going to play by mass rules.
One of the big things I learned early on when I was working for Big Dog working on Harleys and stuff is that if you use .3, your brake lines will start to corrode.
They will.
Because .5.
That's what they set them up for.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Marshall Thompson, my street triple has a weird behavior where after it sits for a while, the lever pulls all the way to grip. Now, that's not just you, Marshall. That is everybody.
Yeah.
So the trick that we do at the shop, and this works 99.1% of the time, is you pump up that brake lever, and I mean pump the fuck out of it until it's nice and proud and out there where it should be.
Get all the pressure back.
Get it out there proud and where it should be, and then take a rubber band and put a rubber band around that thing, just like you're trying to get the sack off a sheep. And you're going to wrap that rubber band around that compressed brake lever about 40 times until it holds it there. And then you're going to go to bed. And 24 hours later, your brake level will be so hard a cat can't scratch it.
Well, again, this is one of those things where air bubbles will hide. They'll be intrusive and they'll hide somewhere in your line because rubber is still porous.
Of course. Yeah.
And so it hides in your line up and down the line. Yeah. And a lot, because the Ducati I just did, your Multistrada has you can actually crack it at the top because it will hide air bubbles.
They all do.
And so, with the Vespas especially, we've seen if you wrap the brake line, pump it and wrap it. That air will eventually go.
Leave it for
gravity and physics.
And now you're
work.
taking off the lid?
No. Not at all. Not at all. So that's the way these things work. And this is a little bit counterintuitive. It doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. But when you put your brake system from your master cylinder down to your caliper through the ABS controller, and you put that under pressure, that will encourage the bubbles to travel upwards. And where you want those bubbles to be is in your reservoir that has the rubber baffle in there that expands to compensate for the void left behind when the air has taken the place of the fluid. So there's a reason your brake cap on your master cylinder has that flexible rubber baffle in there that goes up and down. It's not because you're leaking brake fluid out onto the street. That's not why it's there. It's because of ingress in that system and the hygroscopic nature of brake fluid itself that it's bringing moisture and moisture and air in from outside the environment as you're stroking that master cylinder and as the wheel cylinder is stroking as well. There will be a certain amount of ingress. There's no such thing as a perfect seal. It's not so much that you're losing fluid, it's that you're gaining air.
Yeah.
But the volume needed as the brake pads wear it greases.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's why it goes down too. Because
you push that, your brake pads are so much thinner.
the pistons are pushed out further.
Absolutely. And that's also why when we see bikes come in, we don't see those master cylinders filled all the way up to the very, very top. And you're not supposed to fill them up to the very, very top. Inside your master cylinder will be a line that tells you exactly how hard to fill it. The technique, the first time somebody showed me the technique of pumping up your brakes and then wrapping that brake lever, so it's holding that position. You would think that over 24 hours, you'd come in and that brake lever will have gone in. It will have gone down, so to speak. No, it's just as rigid as it was when you put that rubber band on there. But now when you take the rubber band off, that son of a bitch is fully bled. It feels fantastic. These things will accumulate those bubbles when they sit for long periods of time. We have it here at the shop. It's become exacerbated because there's such a volume of fluid in these ABS controllers, and that gives a lot of nooks and crannies for that to hide. When they prep the bikes at the factory, they do a good job, but they don't do a great job. It's our job to either pump them up and lash them overnight and see how they do. Sometimes, we still have to go after them and bleed them fully. We have to do a complete bleed on them because there's going to be a little more air in there than we want to be around. But 99.1% of the time, that 24-hour, wrap and hold, it works great. It works fantastic.
Do you think it has something to do with surface tension and pressure?
I think
on the rubber, like as the rubber expands,
I do.
Breaks that surface tension.
I do.
On the bubble?
I think it does, and I think that's a really good way to put it. Is because you're putting that pressure into that line. Right? Holding your hand on the brake is creating a tremendous amount of pressure on that fluid in there. The idea behind brake oil is that it's not compressible. That's why we use it. So many other things, so many other fluids are compressible. You don't want your brake fluid to be compressible, right? That's not why we use it. Using fluid instead of using a cable is because the fluid is non-compressible. When we add air to that fluid becomes compressible. So the air is compressible, the fluid is not.
Air is technically a fluid. I think you're saying liquids versus gases.
Yes,
gases,
exactly.
The air is compressible, the liquids are not.
Exactly. That's
Plus,
exactly right.
there's a mechanical advantage to using a hydraulic piston versus
Absolutely.
just pulling a cable.
It's a 4-to-1 ratio, right? So 4-to-1 ratio to get more power out of that hydraulic pressure than there is out of a cable-operated function. So I think that for most people that realize what Marshall pointed out, that is exactly right. Yeah, go ahead, pump it up, and it'll be fine. But don't get on your bike and make the first time you've used the brakes at the end of your driveway, because that's how you're going to find the street real fast.
Well, I think we've probably all done that at least once, where you change a tire on the bike, you have the wheel off the bike, you put the wheel back on, but you forget to pump up the brakes.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you go rolling out of the driveway.
Do you know another one that's very humbling is when you put your bike into your trailer or your pickup truck? And you put your bike into your trailer or your pickup truck and you do the straps and everything else, right? But you got that wheel chock in there and it might be touching your caliper. So if the wheel chock is touching the caliper, it's pushing the caliper, and the caliper is probably going to move a little bit. It's going to push your brake pads back. So you now are backing the bike out of the pickup truck down the ramp.
Okay.
And you grab that brake because it's now going down the ramp a little faster than you want it to go. And the brake has nothing because what happened is it pushed the pads back in when the wheel chock was rubbing or touching your caliper. That's horrifying.
I've never experienced that, but thanks for the warning.
I've watched a guy go backwards down my ramp in front of my shop. I loaned him my ramp. He was going to unload his bike on his own. He had a big Condor wheel chock in there that was touching his caliper. And I saw him go down the ramp at about 16 miles an hour backwards. He made it all the way to the end of my driveway and then dumped it in the grass. Fortunately, he made it all the way to the end of the driveway. So he made it to the end of the parking lot, dumped the bike in the grass, very soft, very gentle. But he looked like he'd seen God. And he's like a 68-year-old guy. They're not supposed to move that fast. So he had a wide awake and he's like, my brake didn't work. I'm like, I'm going to bet you it was rubbing against that wheel chock. And it just pushed it enough to push those pads back in. And once the pads go in, you got to pump them back out again. That's all there is to it. So that's something. Today at the shop, we had a very, very special guest showed up. Again, that was to our friend and podcast listener extraordinaire, Dave Swangen.
Swear engine. So I come out and you're like, hey, take photos of us. I'm like, all right, cool. Snap, snap, snap. All right, cool. I'm going in the back. And you go, yeah, that was swear engine.
Right. Exactly. Swear engine. Swear engine shows up wearing a red ClevelandMoto t-shirt, and he gets the Big Dick Award of the year because he did, what do they say? Vini Vidi Vici? Mm-hmm. I came, I saw, I conquered.
I came, I saw, I conquered.
That's what he did.
Yep.
He showed up. He called me on the phone. He was like, hey, Phil, you got to tell me a little bit more about these Moto Marinis. And he showed up, and he looked at it. He sat on it. He enjoyed it. He inspected it. He looked at it again. I didn't see him sniff the seat. He just, he very much got to know the bike.
This was the little bagger one? Like it had the bags and stuff?
That's the bagger.
That was cool.
It's the 700 Calibro.
Yeah.
And he went over to the 700 bagger, sat on it, got off, looked at it, crawled around, looked at it a little bit more. I'll take it.
Nice.
Whoa. Oh.
Those ease.
Where's the Smith Woof?
Woof.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a wolf moment.
He broke your Moto Marini Cherry?
He did.
So good.
That
That
was
was
our
the easiest sale and to the nicest guy.
nicest guy in the world. And there he is. He's laughing out loud, right? It's absolutely true, man.
And,
Absolutely true.
Davey boy.
Total hero.
because he even asked you, he said, have you ridden him yet? He says, no, there's too much salt on the roads.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But
He will. He stepped right up, and what he's doing is years ago we sold him a G400C, and he loves the G400C, and he really digs the bike, and he put some crash protectors on it, he put some crash bars on it, and he's got about 647 miles on it, give or take. What's happening? He's going to trade that in. So I love my shop and the incestuous nature of selling a bike out and then getting that very same bike back, because we sell good bikes. It's nice to get those bikes back in on trade. And so we made him a deal. He didn't argue about it. I think it was fair to everybody.
It's also good when you get people that come in and buy the first one and they're hooked. Like the first one's always cheap. Yep.
But
The first one always gets you into the second one. Second one always gets you into the third one and gets you on and on and on.
I'm really, really interested, not this year.
Yeah.
But when you get that big, the 1200.
The 1200, yeah.
I want to know what the price of that is.
that's cool. I mean,
Because if it's even half of a BMW, it's got everything the BMW has.
we saw it, and we were in the booth, and he told us what the price of that bike was going to be.
See, I didn't get that part.
Yeah.
I'll just because I don't know if I'm supposed to, so I didn't.
Well,
yeah.
Again, I think people are going to be really happy.
And we
Fuck.
So,
And the TFT on that thing was sick.
It was sick. It was amazing.
Yeah.
well now we also have somebody that will report back
Yeah.
the goods and the pros and
Absolutely.
the cons of the Calibro.
He's the Cleveland
Bro.
Yeah, he's the Cleveland
There you
Moto
go.
test monkey, right?
And that's the thing is now we get to hear he can do a live report.
Well, and also he's the guy that I got the TW200 from that's so sanitarily clean, right? So that TW200 that came in and got
I'm
traded
still
in.
waiting for Dan to monkey knife fight you for that bike.
I'm just going to bring it into the shop. In fact, I told Swearingen that today. I was like, that he's like, Dan wants that bike more than anything. And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm ready to sell it to him, but I'll lend lease it to him as long as he wants
Exactly.
it, right? I mean, I believe in the lend lease program around here.
And Stan, we can trust him.
Of course, absolutely.
Oh, we're selling bikes.
How much for the G400? Yeah, it won't be a lot, man.
Come on down, Scott.
That's going to be a wheeling deal right there.
We haven't even priced it yet.
Yeah.
He'll have
So-
to come pick it up and come on the cast.
Well, and remember, the G400Cs only came in 3 colors. They came in green, they came in black, and they came in red.
Yeah.
And this one happens to be a red one.
Nice.
So it's a beautiful bike. Absolutely gorgeous
I
bike.
think Hoffert needs one of those.
It has a green one. So, yeah. That's Hofford has experience with the G400C.
I love that bike.
It's a good bike, man. It's a really good
Is that
bike.
your favorite bike?
It's like a full size CB350.
It is.
Like I remember because I was so happy to have my CB350 until I saw myself in a window on the DGR, and I looked like a giant ape in a suit riding this tiny. It looked like a monkey on a fucking pedal bike or something. And I'm like, oh no, this doesn't work.
Sleepy, you're not selling the bike for us now.
No. But what I'm saying is the G400C is bigger. It's a full size motorcycle, so you get the same essence of a CB350, but you don't look like a monkey riding a little tiny little.
And
it's metal.
And it's metal. And that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
Could you turn my cans down a little bit if it's possible?
Yeah.
The one the first time I rode the G400C was when it was still a prototype, and as a prototype, it was perfect. It was a really good bike, and I really enjoyed it. But it still had the skinny wheels. It had the stuff that they had on the bike before the American adoption. So it had the skinnier wheels. It had the narrower chain. It was more of a light duty machine, not built for the American audience. But what Genuine did was Genuine went and Genuine Americanified it. So they changed a lot of things on that bike to make the bike more heavy duty. They already started with that wet sump motor or dry sump motor, rather. Having that extra couple of quarts of oil is never a bad idea. So when every other 400cc bike has 1 quart of oil in it, this bike's hauling around 3 quarts of oil. That's not bad for anything.
This is one of those instances where I feel like they hit the mark.
I do. I agree.
But it was too early.
Yeah.
Because right now, as we're all coming to 400, 500, 600 singles and everything else, like even the Triumph.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bike that if it had enough play would have done better.
And I think that it was tough for them because right now you're absolutely right. The Triumph 400s and they're all hitting real hard right now. And you might say G400C was, 5 years early.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was 30 years late because the Honda CB500, the Honda GB500, these things all existed in 1989. The only thing that's different is EFI. Everything else on the bike is the same. That motor is the same XR400 motor that they've been kicking around for 40 years. So
yeah, but it's all only really coming back around now.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is now everything's kicking off.
The demand for a lightweight motorcycle has gone up dramatically. Hoffert was so far ahead of the time, running around on a Passport. As this logically progresses, right?
Yeah.
Well, because what has been this ridiculous bike that has sold more bikes than anything have been these monkeys, these Groms.
Well, the Honda Cub.
The little bikes, right?
Yeah.
So little bikes have become this huge thing.
And now that we've got the Marinis coming in, the small Marinis, we're kind of kicking in. There you go.
Chris Brewer.
Chris Brewer gives GSG 3 stars. That's pretty good.
Well, never forget.
Never forget. You know what? The 3 stars thing is solid. Some of the art that we've got, we're doing an art contest for anybody who wants to design art for the podcast. Send us your art because, whether it's one color or multicolor, we're doing all kinds of T-shirts this year, fun stuff. But the one guy sent in the art, and the art that he sent in had the old-timey microphone. It had 3 stars underneath it. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
There's a guy on Instagram I follow from Boston. He's like, everything is 5 stars.
Yeah, it's 3 stars.
That Boston accent I can't get.
I think it's a really, really, it's a cool thing. But yeah, Swearingen came in. We took a picture of him and the whole deal. Yeah, there we go.
Oh no!
He said,
there was a bottle of something back here he bought us.
It's the Eden's still here. Yeah.
But there's something else that's back here that I keep meaning to open, but it's not ready yet.
Yeah, the Eden's fantastic. Yeah. That's a great bottle. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely great.
Yeah, it's
bottle.
Getting there.
Is it right there? Yeah, the Oak and Eden. There it is. Yeah. So it's about a third.
That one's a good one.
That's a good 2/3 done. We got about a third left on that bottle, Mr. Swearingen. Just letting you know, we got about a third left on that bottle.
Tommy, give me a little snort.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we can set you up on that one, Chris. So that's pretty cool. That was a fun thing to have to happen at the shop today, too. It's also, like you said, it's my first Moto Marini being sold, which is really super exciting.
Yeah, we need to have like a bell or something. Like, that was it, right?
We took a picture of him, so that was it.
It's going to be on the Facebook page.
Right, yeah, that's it. Yeah, we're going to make you up on the Instagram, and the whole deal will be cool. It was pretty neat. Not to downplay that because that was awesome and that was great. Steve, you know about these Insta 360s?
Yeah.
Okay, so apparently I sent them some information. I talked to them about it, and they sent me one.
Nice.
Well, they sent us one.
Oh, even nice.
So they sent us one, and apparently there's a BMW edition. Oh. So that's I checked on it. It's not that it has leather seats or anything. Basically what it does.
Does it speak in German?
Not auf Deutsch, bitte. And so what they did is they've done some software tweaking so that now for motorcycle enthusiasts, there is a loop function built on the internal memory of the device so that it is constantly... Sean O'Hara.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, if you're showing up tomorrow, you know what to bring Renee. That'll make the entire day.
Bring birds. So they sent me this one. That was pretty cool. And so we're going to get into the negotiations about how we're going to use it or what have you. But I've been dicking around with it. And it's weird. Okay, this is a weird camera.
Yeah.
What this thing does is this shoots the 360 degree panorama. So I say it shoots 350 degrees because there's the stick. So anything that's where the stick is doesn't show up on the camera.
Well, no, it's
the
still,
computer stitches it together.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it just put 180s.
Yeah.
And then just added that in there. So
Bingo.
it's still 360 degrees.
I get it.
It's just they're separated
They're
by
separated
the stick.
slightly.
Yeah.
It's like Saturn has the ring,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's the deal. And it's like one of those magic things is when you use it, you can't see the stick, right?
No.
So
you can always see the shadow of the stick.
you
though.
can see
Yeah.
the shadow of the stick.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's like
Right.
when I was doing,
Yeah.
when I do my riding videos
Yeah.
and stuff, and you're using a 6-foot pole behind you
Oh, yeah.
with that thing. That's the thing is people are like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, the shadow is the giveaway.
Oh, it is the giveaway.
Yeah,
It's like, whoa. It is a bonkers. I had him send me the long pole and I had him send me the super clamp.
Yeah.
Like, kind of
So,
put
so which one of us is going to have that behind us at the Mexicana?
all of us, right?
Yeah.
Put the clamps on them, boss.
Clamps.
Clamps. But I was very nice of him to send me that. We're going to play around with it. We're going to mess around with it and do all
yeah.
kinds of fun things with it. I chased the cat around the house. And so I chased the cat, the Maine Coon cat, chased him all around the house in the whole
Attached
deal.
it to his tail.
Oh no, that's heavy, dude.
It's super heavy.
Also, the glass are because I've been through about 4 sets of the glass bubbles so far.
I put the protective lenses on there because you can't change the lenses, right? You can only buy a new camera.
No, the little bubbles.
I didn't say protective lenses.
Oh, yeah.
I said you can't change the lenses.
Well, no, you'd be sending it into
if
Insta.
and it turns out there are different settings for protective lenses and expensive protective lenses.
Yeah.
So if you have it set for expensive protective lenses, the cheap lenses will look like poo.
Mm-hmm.
If you have it set for cheap protective lenses, they look pretty good.
Yeah, it changes the focal length.
It does.
Like
It makes it look pretty awesome. But yeah, this thing will never not have those protectors on it because I drop shit constantly. And but the thing is, I have no patience for the editing process.
I was about to say, so that's my thing.
Yeah, I know.
Editing, I shot 360 and 8K.
Yeah.
And I'd put the riding footage in there, edit it, and my computer would glow.
Yeah.
Like you could light cigarettes off the computer.
I don't own a computer that can edit.
Yeah.
When I was shooting 8K, chasing the cat around in relatively low light, so I had to back it down to 5.7K for the lower light, and I'm chasing the cat around with this thing and only shooting like a 90-second video, 60-second video. I dump it into my good quality laptop at home, and all the smoke came out.
Oh, yeah.
And it is like, it slowed down so much. And I already don't have patience for editing because I'm not pharmaceutically enhanced. So I've got that gotta. And so the editing process on this thing, we may be having some issues.
Well, let me tell you about this.
Yeah.
So the software that comes with that, if you have a computer that can run it, it can do AI editing.
So I also tried that. So I tried the AI editing, and the AI editing thinks that my cat needs to have a whole different personality. So it turned a 1.5 minute of video of my cat running around the house to a 30-second video of my cat looking over his shoulder seductively. So I don't know what it is about their AI, but their AI insists that my cat should be looking at you beguilingly, right? Because that's what it did. It gave me 30 seconds of the cat looking back at the camera like, yeah, you want some?
Good
Come
word.
It's like cat porn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good word.
Congratulations, you're now a
Also
furry.
true. Also true. Yeah. Would you lick me? Because I'd lick me. Yeah, that's what he was. That's what the cat was all about.
Yeah. On that statement, Merritt is probably happier that way.
It is just one of the worst thing about this thing is when you're setting it up, there's nowhere to hide from the lens. No.
No, you look like you're like.
So I'm sitting there. Yeah, that's it. So I'm sitting on my couch in my ceremonial underwear, right?
Uh-oh.
And I'm trying to play with this thing. And as I look at the screen, I realize that I can't hide from it.
Right.
I can't aim it in a demure fashion so it doesn't just, show me in all of my 55-year-old glory.
Demure.
So demure.
We're gonna have to build a harness. There has to be a harness for this thing, right? Because we have to strap this to Johnny Mac, the Bourbon Ferry.
Why
We have to
does
strap
Tom
this to the
saying
Bourbon Ferry.
harness bother me? There's something about Tom saying harness that weirds me out a
He has a
little bit.
box of them upstairs.
Dude, do you really want to go down that rabbit hole, or you just want to go on with the conversation?
It's like John dressed as the Gimp.
Exactly.
But we have to attach this to Johnny Mac and the Bourbon Ferry.
Sure, Bourbon Cam.
And let him run around.
Bourbon Ferry Cam. Absolutely.
The Bourbon Ferry Cam.
It is the strangest thing. But you know what? Where this thing really drops the ball, though, is you're like, okay, well, I would like to use the feature that we call zoom. You cannot zoom this. No. It's getting a lot of information in there, but don't try to look too closely at any of the information it's getting. Because if you try to zoom anything over one, it all looks like poo.
Yeah.
So it's a good, like, whole world kind of thing.
Well, that's why you reframe. So
Right.
like when you're shooting and stuff, like you can select. You never want to zoom. You want to reframe it.
Exactly.
Because then it's using the right amount of information.
And that's the difference between you and me.
Right.
I don't know any of
Well,
that shit.
I have to. That's part of my, like, yeah.
People pay you for that.
Yeah, but that's why I can't sleep, because this fucking technology changes every 4 seconds, and these young kids are like, "Hey, old man." I'm like, motherfucker.
It's ridiculous, but it is cool, and I'm excited about it. So Insta360 people, if you're sneaking in, I told you I wasn't going to be ready for it yet, but if you do, if they're going to try and lean on us, hey, we sent you a camera, we need to see some content on Insta360, we'll make that stuff happen.
So 3 stars?
Well, right now,
So that is the Insta360 X4.
that's the X4.
Yes, sir. That's the
correct.
one I have
It's the
too, yeah.
Insta360 X4.
Yes.
That's correct.
You, you were talking about
there you go,
editing.
donk.
I mean, a problem editing.
Yeah.
And what I did at work was I added a AI chip into the EIDE slot
Yeah.
of one of my machines, and it is amazing.
Really?
How fast it goes through the video.
Oh,
'Cause I mean,
man.
it's not, I'm not doing maybe not 8K video,
Yeah.
but 4K
Yeah.
with 6 cameras, like for the security around the plant.
Really?
And that chip makes all the difference in the world.
Which chip?
I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's an AI. It's basically an AI chip. It's a piggyback processor that goes on.
Oh, wow.
And
That's really cool.
I'm running just ARM64 processors, and these things make the thing scream.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh,
That's cool. Yep. Yeah, Dave King, that is right. It is Grumpy Sewer Guy. He is back in the house.
So what's the what camera is that again?
This one?
Insta360
Insta360
X4.
X4.
Okay.
X4.
Insta360 X4.
Insta, right. Insta360 X4.
Okay.
Now, in the news.
Wait, where's your breaking news thing?
Hold on.
That's okay.
He's not
It's
ready.
all right. I thought he was going to have one queued up. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. We don't have to freak out about it.
With the tuning key?
We just know it exists, right? There we go. In today's breaking news at ClevelandMoto Podcast, we are celebrating the 50th birthday of the Honda Goldwing. That's right, the Honda Goldwing is 50 years old.
Holy shit.
And its fan base is 65 years old, so congratulations.
They're catching up.
They're going to touch. I mean, this is
right. Eventually, they're going to be the kids call it docking.
They're going to be docking. Yeah, that's right. The Goldwing will be the Goldwing will be 60. No, the Goldwing will be 70, and its average rider will be 70, and it'll be perfect.
Right,
and
that'll be the match.
It'll be synchronous.
Yep.
Yes, the Honda Goldwing is born in 1975, and that's a big
Was
deal.
it called the Goldwing then? It was the GL
1000.
Yeah. Was it still called the Goldwing then?
I don't. Yeah, it was because my 75 I had said Goldwing on the side panel.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
So yeah,
Because I remember the Civic was the CVCC, so the Goldwing I always thought was a GL 1000, and then it went up.
I don't think Honda missed the opportunity to engolden those wings.
Okay.
I think they engoldened those wings just as fast as they could.
Yeah.
I've never known a GL that wasn't a Goldwing, but I've known them. I owned a yellow 75, so I've kind of had the first one. What a thing. I mean, what a crazy bike.
What if we shoved a water-cooled Volkswagen Beetle motor into a motorcycle? And they went.
It has been around for error. I mean, it has been.
Yeah.
It's been all the things all the time. Probably was the greatest thing to happen to Craig Vetter, as far as look at that thing. We should put fairings and bags all over that cocksucker.
When was the Silver Wing?
Later.
Okay, so the Goldwing was first.
Yeah. When do you think Silverwing came out, Hoff? Was that like 81? Or was there a 78?
the CXs came out in what 79,
79
or 79.
So yeah, it would be later.
But then 81 I think was the GL 500.
Correct.
And 83 was the last year, and that was a GL 650.
The 650.
Yeah, those crazy angular like Buck Rogers things.
And there was no doubt about it. The GL 500 was the correct use of the term Silverwing.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch was absolutely a touring bike. It just was half scale, right? Fucking cool bike.
And the engine was very odd. I mean, I said this on a, years ago, but it was like two engines.
Yeah.
It was like nothing down low, and then it had a lot right at the end. So.
Well, that is the funny thing about being a podcast that's 14 years old, is that a lot of the things that I'm like, oh, we already talked about that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, episode 41.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like the most
last century.
Right. The most famous episode ever was episode 151. And that was like 300 episodes ago, right? Or 350 episodes ago. Chocolate Thunder.
So if you're playing the home game, you want to go to
White Lightning. Yeah.
Plus the GL 500 had push rods.
Exactly. Yeah. Like we think about all this stuff because you've had
Many.
bunch, right? What is your absolute favorite full flavor, full size Goldwing?
Well, the new ones are actually way better.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
without a doubt.
But I always like the 1200s.
The 1200s, yeah,
because they had hydraulic lifters.
Yep.
They got really good fuel economy, and I'm more about that fuel economy than anything else. But they got way better fuel economy. The 1500s were pigs, and then the 1800s are. I mean, they had a 5-speed. They should have a 6-speed, and then the new ones are kind of like a ST 1300 screwed an old Goldwing, and then it's kind of like somewhere in between. And they're nice and they're comfortable, but I still think if I was still buying bigger bikes, I would buy F6 or what? Not an F6. What's it called?
The F6B?
F6B.
Yeah, the flat bagger. Yeah. And that's been a bike that's been on my radar for a long time. Like there will be a day when the right one shows up for the right price and it ends up in my garage.
What color?
It would have to be yellow. It can only be yellow. I'm sorry, dude. That's it. If I'm going to have an F6B, it's not going to be flat black because the reasons we all discussed, flat black motorcycles are just dirty all the time.
So if you have a yellow FSB,
if you have a yellow FXB and
he's got a GTS 300 with your name on it.
The yellow one's got to be an oddball though, because you think the Goldwings, the first year the first 1800s
were yellow.
Had a yellow, and then they didn't bring it back for 15 years.
They did.
Or something?
They took it. It took the hiatus of all hiatuses, right?
Because what's the one that looks like a Honda Civic on two wheels?
That's the 1800.
Yeah,
first gen 1800. That was the first modern version Golden. So I had ridden my 1000cc Goldwing. Then I had an 1100 Interstate for a while. I think it was 1100, maybe not. Yeah, I think it was an Interstate. And so then I had a big old gap, and then I got sold the first year yellow, screaming yellow zonker, yellow Goldwing. And I was like, this thing is ridiculously fast. It is irresponsibly quick.
What's a 2-liter motor? It's a 2-liter motor and 300 pounds of metal.
It was a really good bike. It was a really, really good bike. And I got it dirt cheap because it had been crashed. So I got it as a salvage. And one of my friends was like, what did you pay for that? And I told him. And he's like, I'll double your money right now.
So for those of you playing the home game, even though we're calling the 1.8 liter F6B.
F6B, yeah.
1.8 liter. I'm sorry, 1800 cc's translates into 1.8 liters, which is the exact same size of the engine in my Honda Civic.
Exactly.
But the bags on the newer Hondas are stupid. I mean, why would you have them open like that? It doesn't make sense.
Well, they open from the bottom?
No,
they tip out.
Yeah,
they open from the bottom.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little slow.
Well, that's like my Harley. My Road King is a police bike, so they have the screw top bags. And I'm like, yeah, that's the way Harley bags should open. That's the way it should open. You crank the knob, the bank opens, you throw a bunch of shit into it until it won't close anymore, and then push down real hard and it'll latch.
But if you're really busy cranking your hog, can you really crank a knob too?
I can crank my hog with either hand. Very frequently.
You crank the knob open, the Rockford Fosgates are in there.
It's a lot of cranking with Harleys. You got to crank knobs and crank hogs.
There's a lot of hogs there, yeah.
I do like a Harley, though.
The factory saddlebag operation on a Harley Davidson motorcycle that isn't a police model is one of the dumbest things in the world. Is you're like, okay, I want to latch the back, but the front came unlatched again, so I got to relatch the front, so I got to relatch the back again. Oh wait, hold on, that came undone again. And then if you're lucky, you get the ones that have the little clap, little side latches on them. Well, those. You hit a good bump and they both open up and you lose all your shit on the freeway. So they're not.
You do see a lot of bag tops laying around.
Oh
on
no! I
yeah.
lost a bag top one time off my KLR. I had tusk bags, hard bags on the back, and just flew off. And the funniest part is, I found the top after it had been run over.
Oh yeah.
And I had to hammer it back.
That's no fun at all.
So Harleys lose their bag tops and Goldwings lose their side covers.
They lose side covers.
Wait.
Yeah.
So with Harleys, you lose your top.
Well, with various different bags on Harley Davidsons, their retention was lackluster at best. I thought it was funny for a while. They were putting cables on them because people were just stealing them.
Yeah.
And so you just steal them to upgrade your bags, or maybe just to sell them to other people that had theirs stolen, I suppose. Right? That's kind of
when you're running
goes.
dick pills and meth.
You know what? The police bags work. That's what I have to say. Cranking my hog. That's why we do it. I had the last time there was an AIM Expo at Columbus, Ohio, I took their new one out for a ride with their DCT gearbox that you never have to shift ever, or you can shift it to make yourself feel like a man. Right. And whoever chose the ride at the AIM Expo in Columbus was just a fucking sadist, because they took us through all the construction zones in Columbus.
Are there anywhere that there isn't construction in Columbus?
You're kind of true, especially in the summer months, right? Yeah. And because there's basically winter in construction.
How long has that interstate been under construction? I think I remember that in high school.
Pretty sure it never stops.
Why would you ever stop? They've been building that bypass for at least 30 years.
Why would you ever stop doing construction? That turns off the money machine. I rode it around, and I think from about 15 minutes in my test ride, which, by the way, the test ride went on for about 45 minutes. From about 15 minutes in, I never heard the fan shut off because it was like a 96-degree day.
Yeah.
And we were in stop and go.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big girl.
If we're going to be out here for 30 minutes, let's just stop at Kroger and get some beer.
Well, that's a big girl. And when you think about riding a big girl like that in stop and go traffic that way, that's quite a workout. No, it's got a freaking ridiculously low center of gravity. Somehow they figured out that motorcycle has a center of gravity lower than 1 inch. And I don't know how they've done it, but I'm pretty certain if I picked both my feet up, the bike would continue to stand up. There was absolutely no stress in riding that thing at slow speeds.
Didn't Honda develop a gyroscopic thing for their Goldwing?
They did, absolutely. But what I promise you is that this particular machine, this latest version of the Goldwing, it's quite impressive.
Well, I mean, if you're balancing a 2-liter car engine, this is not and that's the thing you
pretty
want.
low slung. And what I was totally prepared to absolutely hate the freaking DCT. And it didn't, Sean O'Hara's a screw.
I swear to God,
screw
I used to come to Columbus when I was a kid with my dad to go to the Mannheim Auto Auction, and that fucking bypass was in construction then, and this is 92-ish.
It's never stopped,
and they still don't have a road through there.
It's never stopped. Right, Columbus has continued to grow, and they've continued to add freeway since day one. Right?
But it's not even that. It's the same.
Since Christopher Columbus discovered it.
Exactly. It's the same stretch of road for 30 years has been under construction.
Yes.
It's not even a new road. It's just the same road.
That shouldn't surprise you. Yes. Roads built in a salt-rich environment by the lowest bidder are going to need to be replaced fortnightly.
I think the entire interstate from Charleston to like Bluefield took them 10 years.
Right. And then they're done forever.
And it was done.
So on to other interesting stories. KTM's had a very rough past year or so. They've had a hell of a time. KTM's not doing great out there. Turns out KTM has just straight up said we're not doing 125s anymore. They're just not doing 125s. And to us in this country, we are like, who gives a fuck? Like, did KTM ever do a 125 here in this country?
Well, that's their
dirt bike,
their
like
mainstay
racing
of the dirt bikes is the
because like 125 class is
MX
huge.
125,
yeah. But I mean, street bike or anything like that, I don't think so, right?
Duke.
Oh,
So,
a Duke?
Again, America. I'm the center of my own goddamn universe. But there is the rest of a planet out there. And the rest of the planet has learner laws that encourage you to operate a 125 until you've had your license for a couple of years.
It's not encouragement; it's mandatory.
I would buy the heck out of a Duke 125.
Past tense.
Right.
Okay. Because you can't do it anymore.
Well, I'm not going to buy the Schwartpylon.
Right. Well, the point being, as it is, KTM has had to make some decisions, part of which is having a year's worth of inventory in your warehouse unsold because of financial insolvency, et cetera, and owing more people money than your company is worth at the moment. That could be another problem. However, one of the tactics that they're using to save some money is they're going to stop production of their Duke 125, which in India is a mainstay bike.
That actually seems antithetical.
Well,
it's considered an upscale, like a premium brand.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
I would actually get rid of the larger bikes before I got rid of the smaller bikes.
Well, if you think about it, the smaller bike probably has a smaller price tag. Well, obviously, it has a smaller price tag.
And that comes down to the question of, that the 125s are going to be built in India.
Yeah.
Where the building is cheaper.
India.
And
Bajaj.
And we also have to say, does one big dog weigh more than a whole lot of little dogs? Because at the end of the day, if you sell 10 125s, those bikes are going to be coming back to the dealer for more service and more long-term investment than selling one 1190 or 1290, right? So there's a bit of a decision you have to make. But where it really is an issue is in countries that observe that L.
Yeah.
And in countries that observe that giant letter L on the front of the bike, that means that a lot of people will not be able to ride something bigger than a 125cc bike until they've got a couple of years of experience under their belt. And KTM has done very well offering those buyers a fun, exciting bike. Mm-hmm. In fact, as I was watching a training video on the Insta 360, the woman who was talking about, like, how should I mount my camera to my bike? What do you think she was riding? She's riding a KTM Duke 125 in all of her videos. She's an English person, and it's clearly a bike that she felt strongly about enough to buy, right? So when you take that away and you pull that out of the lineup, well, that's one of those things. Like, that's a bike that a lot of people, if you start on a KTM, your second bike might be a KTM.
Everything's coming up Gilera.
Everything's coming up Gilera, right? Yeah. So it's one of those tough things. You take away that entry level bike. I know for a lot of people in my family got their start on a Honda CB 125. I mean, a hell of a lot of people in my family started on a CB 125. And those people continue to be Honda people, right, to this day, because they got started on a bike, that at their dealership, the other manufacturers didn't have a 125 available, and it was cheap and cheerful, So that's the tough thing. When you see that happen.
I got my first leg burn on the exhaust on a Honda Trial 80, and I still haven't bought one. So.
Yeah, well, there you go. So that's a fun. Oh, a dude came into my shop yesterday. He's about 5'4", had a amazing Grand Marquis. I've never seen a Grand Marquis in my life. Marquis. It was Oldsmobile Buick Burgundy.
Yep.
It had the half vinyl, what do they call that? Landau top.
Yeah.
With with
the opera windows.
Everything. It was so majestic. It was majestic. And his front license plate said United States Marine Corps.
Oh, no.
And then he got out of the car and he put on his really big Vietnam veteran's hat.
Oh, yeah. Respect, but.
And this guy's like 5'4", and he's got a house in the DR, right? And he's a Vietnam veteran, and he came into my shop, and he's looking over everything, and he's a man on a mission. And he's like, so which bike can you ship to the DR? I was like, I have no idea. I've never shipped anything to the DR. I have no idea what that involves.
Wow.
I just don't know, but I'm sure you can figure it out. I'm sure people ship stuff to the DR all the time. It's not a question for me. I'm more of a Japan to Ohio kind of guy.
I have a relation, but yeah, let's.
Anyway. So he looks around, he goes around, what do you think he bought? Of all the bikes in my shop, of all the scooters that he was looking at, 5'3", 5'4" tops.
Buddy kick.
That's what he should have bought. No, Piaggio BV500.
I was just about to say that, dude.
Piaggio BV5. You know that bike is over 100 miles an hour.
I owned one from you.
That's a tall bastard.
It was a scary scooter.
It wasn't scary.
Oh no,
At
they're
full
fun.
rip? Oh, I loved it. No, don't get me wrong.
Had a little wobble at 100, but you know what?
So
A little.
So he bought the vanilla one.
He bought the vanilla one.
Oh wow,
It's got 1,000 miles
that
on
was
it.
such a great bike, and
a great bike.
the guy that owned it was not worth. The guy that we got it from was not worth it.
Well,
He was not worthy of that bike.
He didn't look at that guy had that bike for 12 years
and put 1,000
miles on it.
And
So
I got
clearly
it.
he didn't like it.
I got it and busted it up and down the street. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I would live on this bike. It's
it's
great.
it's a very peppy bike.
I mean, I had mine for 1 year, and I put 12,000 miles. on it.
Oh, if anybody listening at home that wants an automatic motorcycle
Wow.
but doesn't want to commit, a Beverly is the way
And
to go.
you can get them cheap as chips.
Oh, they are.
And like or for me, like it was right before my hip surgery
Yeah.
or after. I couldn't use my hip,
Right.
And so I couldn't get my leg over a tank, so that's why I bought it, and it got me through an entire year. I think I put 5,000 miles on it in the summer. Went to Columbus, went to Cincinnati. Like it's a great fucking bike.
And Steve,
yeah, absolutely.
how many of the miles that you put on that bike, 12,000 miles, how many of that was 2-up?
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
my wife liked to ride on the
Yeah.
Silverwing.
Right. He's using that
So-
bike. He's using that bike as a commuter. It's not his Sunday going out to meeting bike. He's commuting, putting a shit ton
I
of
rode
miles
that to
on that
Boston. I rode that to Chicago.
Oh, you
I rode
did?
that- I rode that. That's the one I broke down on in Indiana.
bike. Oh my God.
When that stupid little 1-inch piece of tubing between the fuel pump and the fuel
Yes.
injection
Yeah.
system.
The little crossover.
Yeah, rotted out.
Yep. That happens.
But that thing was perfect because it had a hook. Like it was the perfect bike to commute on because it had a hook and you could put your backpack right between your legs and you could still put your feet down, but you could go anywhere in the country on that thing.
I go 100 miles an hour in the rain and not
Yeah.
get wet.
Oh,
Those are great
One
bikes.
of the problems with Vespa is we don't talk about Piaggio enough. It's like talking about GMC. You never talk about GMC or Piaggio. And the LT is one of the best deals ever. I don't give a shit who you are. The Liberty,
Yeah, the new one. Yeah,
the new one.
The Liberty
is the
is
way to go.
You
But
say LT, and you got to
LT.
remember, to people who know this shit, you're talking about a 20-year-old bike,
Oh, I know.
a 23-year-old bike, and I will tell you, I promise you, there is no such thing as a good 23-year-old
Oh, no.
two-stroke.
But the
50.
Liberty 150
Yeah.
is one of the best deals you can get.
Yeah, the brand new bike is an extraordinarily good value.
But the Beverly totally runs under the radar.
Yeah,
That
it
is
does.
a motorcycle. I don't care who you are. That is a
It's
motorcycle.
a great bike. It's a great bike.
And
Absolutely great bike.
we just don't talk about it because we're like, oh, yeah, it's over there in the corner.
Exactly.
And we're like, wait a minute. That's actually a really cool fucking
And
motorcycle.
what's funny is it fails the sexy test.
Yeah.
So people are coming to my shop and they're like, "Oh, that Vespa GTS. Oh,
it's insane.
and you're like, it's 300 cc's. It's 28 horsepower. Oh, and I'm like, okay, don't look over there, because in a very subdued color is a 400 cc that will touch 100 miles an hour.
Oh, God, yes.
And it costs $1,400 less.
And it is literally because it's got the big tire. It's got what,
got-
15?
What's that?
The tire size.
Yeah, it's a 17, 15
Yeah.
combo, 17,
Yeah.
16
It's
combo.
got a
Yeah.
wet clutch too.
Yeah. And they are just monsters.
Yeah. Oh, and it's like Steve is saying, they're all stock with a slipper clutch.
And it's
so fuck
it's an
that.
amazing bike.
Yeah, they're amazing.
The only thing that was bad about the 500 was the seat sucked.
Yeah.
Well, the
And
new
they
ones-
improved the seat when they came out with the
Yeah.
350.
Yeah. Much
that
better.
seat was great.
Much better bike. Yeah, and it's a funny bike because it is. Nobody knows about it. Nobody comes in and goes crazy.
It's such a because Piaggio does a horrible job of marketing in the States.
Well, that particular line especially.
But
Yeah.
you do have to take out that canister thing. Remember, I was
The
freaking
canisterectomy.
out. I'm like, motherfucker! This every time I wasn't mad, but I was like, every time I get off the highway, the thing fucking dies.
Yeah.
And you were like, take this hose, cut it, put this in there, throw that thing
Absolutely.
across the driveway, hit it with the hammer, and never put it back.
You never put it back.
Well,
and
that's-
then everything worked.
An
That's-
evap canister.
yeah.
So if you own a motorcycle, and I'm just going to give this a little tech tip for you. If your motorcycle has an evap canister, ask yourself a question. How comfortable are you violating EPA laws? Because I'm pretty comfortable about it. I'm pretty okay with it. And I've never met an evap canister that I didn't negate.
Every Vespa, every Piaggio older than 5 years.
Yeah.
That see-through hose between the check valve and the charcoal canister
Yep.
has evaporated. It
Yes.
doesn't exist anymore.
It's gone.
Because it does not stand up to ethanol.
It's waiting to cause you problems.
Yeah.
And You know what will never fail is the evap canister that's not hooked up. What will never leak is the evap canister that's not hooked up.
Right. If you overfill the tank too, it just screws the whole thing.
You know, the charcoal foam that's inside of there is meant to only be charcoal foam. And when you get it moist, it becomes charcoal putty. And charcoal putty doesn't breathe. And that vapor locks your engine or vapor locks your fuel system. So, and the end result is just for me, if it's a motorcycle that I know I'm not going to own for a long time, but I'm going to own it for a while, then I will very discreetly go in there. I'll leave the canister where the canister is, but I'll clip it and I'll put a one-way valve on it, a PCV valve on it, and call it a day. And this way, you know, any sins that I commit will go out on the floor or the ground, and you know, that's my little contribution to the dinosaur community.
I have never met a bike that didn't benefit from a canisterectomy.
A canisterectomy. Absolutely. Very, very easy thing to do.
Euro, what are they on? Euro 5 or 6 now?
Yep, getting ready for Euro 6.
This is not what they use.
No.
This is not what, this is just American stupidity.
This is literally us forcing manufacturers to live up to a standard set in 1978.
And that's the thing is if we just adopted Euro, whatever the hell we're on now, you could these would be universal. Nothing would have a problem. It'd be perfect.
That's exactly right. It's something. It's a very, very old, obsolete technology, and it's a way that really doesn't solve the problem that we're worried about.
Exactly.
So you know, it's also like when motors get hot and you've got crankcase ventilation, and you've got crankcase ventilation that if it becomes loaded with oil or water instead of air, it's going to put your thumb over it. It's going to block it, and then your bike's going to run like hell.
But you know,
a road vent.
But I would
That's exactly right.
But I would like to add, like most of us here, like we're not against like, you know, trying to not be dicks to the earth.
No.
But if the thing works and the thing wouldn't stall, then nobody would fuck with it.
Look,
but if the fucking thing doesn't work when it happens, then you have to do something.
The
you know, at that point,
Europeans,
that's all
the
I'm
Europeans
saying.
are way far ahead of us when it comes to environmental protection.
Right.
And so if they're on Euro 5-6 standard, there is no reason why we are not adopting this, primarily because we could just go ahead and import a Euro 5, Euro 6 vehicle.
Ask a European helmet seller if his helmets are DOT compliant, and he's going to tell you, if you want me to go back to that standard.
Oh, guess who knows that really well now? So my fucking like $9 million fucking helmet that I got through my buddy from fucking Europe, that's like ECE, fucking Snell, Snell 25, ECE 25, fucking all the things.
FMVSS.
Can't use it on tracks in the United States
because it's not
DOT.
Exactly.
It's not
So
DOT.
fortunately, through a thing, I got a Bell Race Star, which, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's the same helmet as the other one.
Your DOT certification is a lie agreed upon.
Yeah,
That's what it is. If you say that your helmet is DOT compliant, that until they demand for you to prove it, that statement of saying it's DOT compliant is adequate.
When I worked
it identifies as DOT.
But do you it identifies
as
as
DOT?
But what I can tell you though,
you know, to his point,
yes,
I used to sell DOT stickers
We
at the
understand.
Chopper Shop.
I have some of those.
The problem is the companies in Europe that are building your helmet to be on the racetracks in Europe and giving the highest possible level of protection
aren't legal here.
Do you know what they don't give a fuck about? A made up bullshit thing called DOT.
Right.
We deal with some pretty expensive helmets that customers order in, and it's hilarious because they have to put a sticker on the box that says, what? Not legal for on-road use in the United States. This thing is superior to our testing in every way possible, and yet they have to put a sticker on the box that says it's not legal for on-road use in the United States because we are a strange and backward place.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry, we're going to have to add some extra turn signals to your bike because the turn signals that the company's been putting on the bike for 20 years are not high enough or far enough apart, or worse yet, are not incandescent.
But when you get it home, we're not going to ever check it again. So you can go ahead and throw those out. But don't waste anything because we're not trying to have any EPA or hazards, right?
I'm going to tell you, welcome
so the one
to
agency
America.
adds a bunch of shit to the stuff that they know you're going to take off. The other one's okay with it. Whatever.
The freaking buddy turn signals when they're up here.
Yeah, that
so you
hit
see
your
them
knees and everything on the fucking. Oh my
instead
god!
of down here where everybody else is.
Or I could have some LEDs on there that people would see 36 miles away.
Exactly.
And I could replace them with incandescents. You know, one of the greatest sources of irony is I sold Zero electric motorcycles, which are the most sophisticated motorcycles on planet Earth, and they have incandescent turn signal bulbs.
You know what we really need? A lot
because
more,
of the DOT.
We need a lot more 1156s on this.
Yeah. I need several small heating elements around my motorcycle that emit light as a byproduct. Yeah. It's a weird thing. So
having 77-year-old technology on a brand new electric motorcycle makes a lot of sense.
You don't have enough carbine lamps on this
107
thing.
or whatever it is.
One of the worst things that you can do in the world is to take your motorcycle that came from a United States dealership, take out the bulbs that are in it, that are incandescent heat devices, and replace them with LEDs. And all of a sudden, things stop working.
Well, the best part is you literally have to put a ceramic insulator in between them so that it actually has enough resistance value to build up to the point where they'll flash.
That's one approach.
So then you're using the same amount of power.
Exactly.
So what's it matter?
You've done nothing.
You've done nothing.
You've done nothing.
Net value, nothing.
Net value, zero. But if you say, okay, I do want to have a 2.5 watt bulb and flasher, right? As opposed to a 30 watt bulb and flasher combination, right? Okay, we're going to add a resistor to make it 30 watts so we can trick the computer into not thinking that our bike has done something wrong. We have seen at the shop, and in no small number, there are certain motorcycles in this world that when you change those turn signal bulbs, the motorcycle believes now that the side stand is down.
Correct.
What?
Yes, in the CAN bus systems.
It is called CAN bus.
It is called the CAN bus, and how it determines what things are happening is not by a switch opening and closing somewhere. It's a voltage drop.
When you change the turn signals to the European style on the Vespa Primavera, that's a good example, you have to change the flasher. Now, that is the smallest flasher I've ever seen in my freaking life. They're like a wafer thin.
They're nothing to them. And then wafer thin flasher.
Wafer thin flasher.
But we've also seen it on some of the bikes that we sell where we can have a customer that's like, hey, I'm getting a weird intermittent check engine light on my bike, and I'm getting a code.
Yep.
And I am having problems with this thing. And it has put itself into safe mode and shut the motor off more than once. And I'm going through the whole bike and I'm like, what in the hell is going on with this thing? And then I realized when I hit the turn signal, instead of flashing, it's not flashing really fast. And I'm like, that's different. Replace it with 1156s, put the regular dumb incandescent bulbs back in it, and all of a sudden the check engine light goes away. All of a sudden his service engine immediately light goes away, and all of a sudden his bike runs the way it's supposed to.
Everything for the past several years is now network, because nobody understands CAN bus because they're not network folks. I worked IT support, so I understand, that's an address.
So is your entire wiring harness.
Your entire bike is now an address. Everything on your entire wiring harness is an address.
But why do you think they allowed it in cars? Cars have LED everything.
Sure.
And it's fine.
Yeah. Well, because there's a whole lot of lobbying groups that are out there that want to keep that car as dealer friendly as it possibly can be. And there's one motorcycle lobbyist in the entire United States of America, and he wears a Harley-Davidson hat.
Yeah.
And he just cares about how high the ape hangers are allowed to be.
Well, didn't Nick DeVito make insert to make those lights work?
Exactly.
Because that was ingenious.
It's genius. And it literally drops right in, and it's got the correct resistance. It's got the correct resistance so that it will work. It'll fire your flash unit at the correct speed without changing your original old school solenoid based relay flash unit. As opposed to digital ones that exist today on most all the bikes. There's also some devilish shit, and I hate to say it, but we've run into motorcycles in our world that have the flasher unit built into the dashboard display.
Oh, yeah.
And so when the customer does something really creative, like taking out the incandescent bulbs that are meant to be there from the factory and installing the LED bulbs that are flashier, brighter, and are available on Amazon, and will enhance the sexiness of his vehicle, fucks the dashboard of the bike. The dashboard is not $200. The dashboard on an Aprilia 850 Mana is $1,625. So congratulations, you changed all your turn signals to LEDs, and you just got to buy a new dashboard for your Aprilia Mana.
One of the things that people don't quite understand is that most manufacturers, and John Deere is the worst of this.
Of course. Right.
Do not want you to repair. Right of repair is this huge thing.
Right.
They want somebody like me who is Aprilia, Piaggio, whatever the hell I'm certified as. I don't even fucking know anymore. Certified to be the person that changes everything, including your air in your tire. They want you to come back to me so that we make money, so they make money. Yeah. And so you're running into a situation where you change one bulb on your bike and you fucked your entire life.
Well, it's also that idea of network. It's the idea of using a CAN bus system where you can say, we are now giving the computer the amount of information that it can tell you on the dashboard of the vehicle. Some pretty interesting things are right or are not right, or it's going to prevent the vehicle from being in a dangerous situation. And I hate to say it, but I think it all comes down to we are now in a position where 17 different motorcycles are all using the exact same throttle body and using the exact same ECU to back it up.
Well,
that's going to be good for the manufacturer.
You told me a thing about Marini. So they use everywhere in the world, they use the exact same wiring harness on every bike.
Yep.
And the only thing that matters is the last 6 inches.
Last 6 inches. That's exactly right.
And that's the thing about CAN bus is you can do that. You can shut off.
It's brilliant.
You can activate things. You can shut off things. It depends on where you are in the world.
Yeah.
I love CAN bus.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather have that than...
As long as you understand the way that it works.
Yeah.
And you can live in that ecosphere where that works. But what you can't do with CAN bus is you can't get your diagonal cutters out and you can't go... I'm going to put a new headlight in.
Oh, God, that guy with the frickin' subwoofers and that Liberty 150 a couple of years ago that tied into the side stand cutoff switch.
Yep.
Oh,
exactly.
That was the perfect example, though.
This is the point.
He's like, I need a 12-volt source, and you tapped into the wrong stupid thing.
It does work well. CAN bus works very well, but it's not as user-friendly or customizable.
But I've noticed that a lot of bikes that have CAN bus now are giving you a little power block, and they'll be like, if you want to hook any of your own shit up, this is a keyed
That's what you
power, and this isn't always on power. If you don't fuck with anything else, you're cool.
That's critical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wiretaps, like when we see wiretaps on a CAN bus system, we're like, oh man, we got to stop.
And it becomes a can't bus.
Real fast. Right.
My question now, and I don't know this, is do they have like a OBD2 port to plug into it? The new bikes?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah. So they do. And it's nice now that they are now finally, they are legitimate OBD2 plugs. Yep. So historically, we needed to buy an adapter. So historically, we would have a 4-pin or a 5-pin or whatever the hell it is.
We have a bag full of adapters now.
Tom will tell you. And in our shop right now, I'm going to say we have at least maybe a dozen. Maybe a dozen different adapters.
Because we bought the actually Harris was the one that sent us the link to the thing on eBay that is the Chinese
bag of adapters.
The bag of adapters. So this OBD2
yeah. It's the miscellaneous grab
like
bag.
A million grab bag of if this doesn't fit, call us, we'll make one.
And I mean it's all basically on some of the bikes that are pretty primitive, you're down to a 3-wire system, right? Yeah. You get into the Fiat stuff. The Fiat stuff is a 5-wire system.
The early Piaggio stuff is still 3-wire.
Right.
But it's 3-wire plus a 12-volt
supply.
Yeah.
Or the early Volvos are a paper clip.
But literally a paper clip. That's exactly. Yeah.
But Harbor Freight now has a really, really good OBD2 CAN bus reader programmer.
Oh.
For $399.
Really?
It's like a snap-on, $3,000 snap-on. Ooh. So for $399, it's well worth buying.
That is absolutely worth buying.
And then you could share it with your friends.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not something that everybody would buy, but
be the most popular kid in town.
I've always had a good OBD2 CAN bus reader, and everybody borrows it.
And they're coming down, man. Like there's Gear Wrench and all these companies that are starting to come out where from exactly what you're talking about, man. The $4,000 or $5,000 ones you can get for $500-600 now, and they do everything. It's unbelievable.
It is a remarkable thing that as that technology has been uncorked by more and more people, we've gone from probably 4 different OBD devices in a back service department to at least 7 now, maybe 8. And plus, we have all the legacy generations of things
I've got a tangle of wires now that I pulled out of that.
I'm going to say that in the back of my shop, we have about $35,000 worth of diagnostic tools that are obsolete.
And
dude, so I needed an adapter to hook up my GS 911 to my BMW.
Yes.
So this was, everybody told me I was going to need this.
Yeah.
Well, they updated mine. So I spent the extra however much money to get the little round BMW thing so I could plug it in to do the exact same thing because I do my own service, right? And so I get all this shit and I get there and I'm all excited to plug it in. It's just the normal port now. I didn't need to buy anything else. And I was like, fuck.
It's just an OBD now.
For example, my 2006 BMW has the round port. And then the 2017 BMW has the one that's shaped like an OBD2. It's like that.
Because they've changed over the year. Because the GS 911 I used to have had about 3 different adapters.
Yeah,
And it was,
different
I mean, it was
adapters.
literally, I felt really sad when I took the app off my phone because I didn't have the thing anymore.
Yeah, but it's true. The one that shocked me was when I was working on that Mercedes hearse I have. So I get this Mercedes hearse and it's big as L, and I look for the OBD port on the thing, and it's pre OBD2.
Oh.
So this Mercedes hearse, I go and I eventually find the freaking connector.
In the bag of connectors in the back of the shop.
No.
Oh no, it wasn't that
No,
one.
it's the
This thing
light-
is
the
this
blink, right?
this thing is like a 36 pin connector.
Oh, right.
Oh,
I found it on eBay or Amazon. I found it. I remember that.
It is bigger than a donkey's dongle.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing is fierce.
And only 2 pins do anything.
That's correct.
That's because
Yeah.
Oh, I had a W123 for the X that I had to pull that bullshit out of my ass.
And I had to order one of these stupid things. And yeah, you're exactly right, Sleepy. I ordered this thing and I was like, okay, I need to know the pinouts on this thing because this is ridiculous to have this pin farm. Right. And that's all it is. It's like a little bed of nails. Right. And I was looking at the pinouts and I was like, you're right. It's like 6 pins out of 30 some connectors. I think 6 of them are actually used for any sort of diagnostic or changing or doing anything.
Well, so we're talking about CAN bus.
Yeah.
And we're talking about connectors. And we're
Sure.
talking about how many pins aren't being used.
Right.
So today I installed Sean's heated grips.
Yes.
And Sean's heated seats. And Sean's not here tonight.
And he's not here to defend himself.
He was online
He's
a
been
minute
on the
ago.
chat.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
So I installed all this, but the problem is they have that circular adapter behind the leg shield that I have to plug this thing into, and then it's a circular plug coming out.
Yeah.
And the reality is only about 4 of these wires do anything, but there's about 20 in the hole.
Oh, sure. Yeah. There's massive opportunity for failure
Oh, yeah.
and no redundancy whatsoever. And it could be just 4 of the most robust, durable connectors ever.
We've been laughing at this because we had a customer that wanted heated grips. So we bought the heated grips. Okay, cool. We put them on.
Yeah.
Okay, now you need the adapter. What? Okay, now we bought the adapter. Okay, now you have the adapter. You need the controller. What the hell are you talking
And,
about?
and the thing is,
And Sean, because there's a difference between the base model
Yeah.
GTS 300 and Sean's GTS 300 Super.
yeah, $300.
They have the
It's $300.
But
It's a $300 difference.
That $300 is
the connector.
multimedia, the Mia.
It's a multimedia
It's a
platform.
multimedia platform.
Yep.
And so Sean's bike could take all of these things, and the base model could not. And the $300 buys you a $1,000 controller.
Would you say that Sean's bike had more accessible inputs?
Yes.
They would too.
Sean does like input. Sean does like input.
Sean's bike had more willing.
You're not here for the jokes, man.
Sean's bike had more accommodating inputs.
He has more accommodating inputs.
I promise you.
I did all this, and I'm like, literally, I could have done this with 2 wires, but now I've got 27.
Well, and that's where the situation of, okay, I just want it to work. Well, okay, where did you put the switch? Oh, we put the switch in your iPhone app. No, I need the switch to turn it on. No, it's in your phone app. No, I need the switch on the bike to turn it on. No, we didn't put a switch on the bike. The switch is in your phone, in your app. So if you don't have your phone, you can't heat your grips.
For 30 years, I wanted to fly to Japan.
Yeah.
And go to Honda and find an engineer and smack them in the face.
Well,
Now,
yeah.
I want to do the same thing in Italy. Because whoever the hell designed these freaking heated things, I'm just going to beat the hell out of.
The point being that how elegant is it that you don't need to do something as vulgar as reach up and push a button?
Yeah.
You can instead take your phone out of your pocket, scroll around on your phone until you find your Mia app, turn your Mia app on, wait for it to handshake with your bike. Once it handshakes with your bike and the app comes up, then you can find the screen on it to turn on the heated grips, and you can turn on the heated grips and turn on the heated seat.
Yeah.
And that's so convenient.
Pushing a button is so gauche.
It is so gauche. It's so vulgar.
Gosh.
If you think that's bad, you should try turning a key. It's obscene.
If you think that's bad, you should see people that don't wear the snick outfits.
A snack. Yeah. That is one of those situations where we've watched that when we open the crate and we see that there's no longer a key.
Yeah.
And the key doesn't exist anymore. And I'm like, oh shit. Mark this day on the calendar. Today will be known as the day shit got bad. Right?
I think it's just so that at some point they could shut you all down.
I
might be a conspiracy theorist and paranoid, but I think they're just going to be able to push a button and nothing will move.
Why not? A 14-year-old can already make your Jeep drive into the ditch without your permission. Okay, so if that can happen, there must be a reason they left that back door wide open.
Sean's not here, and we just need a backdoor
and
joke.
we just left a backdoor joke. But with sleep, or with Steve is saying is absolutely right. He hasn't been around for a long time, so we've been away from these conspiracy theories. But last week, I put my truck in drive because I wanted to pull my truck forward. But as I was pulling my truck forward, I needed to look out the door of my truck so I could see where the front tire was to make sure I didn't drive off the edge of my driveway. Mm-hmm. So I had the car in drive. I had my foot on the brake because I'm not 2/3 of an asshole. I even had my seatbelt on. And I opened the door to look out the door so I could see by the tire. And a ghost came into my car, grabbed my shift lever, pulled it in, and rocked it up into the park position. A ghost.
You know why?
Like literally the stick fucking moved?
The stick moved.
Do you know
Come
why?
on, really?
on the column.
We do know why.
Do you know why?
I know why.
Anton Yeltsin.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
No.
Yes, it's Scotty.
His Jeep.
Yeah. I know. It
not
killed him.
Scotty.
No, I'm sorry.
Chekhov.
Sorry, Chekhov.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Chekhov.
he got out of his Jeep.
Because he got out of his Jeep and he did the thing that I still cannot figure out why Dodge ever did this, is they put a knob for the transmission.
He turned down the stereo and then got out of his Jeep.
And 3 inches away from the climate control system, which are also knobs, there's another knob, and that knob is park, reverse, neutral, drive on a knob. And a knob is a weird thing to do to operate a transmission.
Yeah.
Just like the Dodge Polara was a weird thing when you had push-button transmission on the dashboard. It's a weird thing. But my truck has ye old shift lever. It has ye old transmission control, a Prindle as they called it. And my Prindle arm moved in towards my face and moved up to park. And I didn't touch it, which means there's at least 2 servo motors, one to pull it in and the other to push it over, in the column of my vehicle.
So is the shifter actually, is it mechanical shift or is it just
I
by
have
the
no
wire?
idea.
At that
Oh, no, that is going to be totally electro servo.
Again,
So that's just the whole thing is
everything
weird.
is simulated. Mm-hmm. So
Well, that's my point. So they didn't even have to do that.
No.
Like
No.
it could have just been park, and then when like you closed the door, it went back to
Well, you know,
fucking drive
Sleepy,
or something.
Sleepy, if I would have spent $1,000 more, it just would have been in the app.
Hey, Phil, when you open up your hood, do you see the giant rod running from your steering wheel to the steering rack?
not.
It doesn't exist anymore
it doesn't.
because
Oh, that's so
everything is
freaky,
drive-by
man.
wire.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No, go, do.
Okay, so this is
This is the place where
He was dying for it. Let
he's
him go.
back, folks.
it's not motorcycle related, but it's on that line. So I bought my wife a new Subaru, and I decided I don't want Subaru to watch me or whatever, so I de-Starlinked it, which, Dan's got one too. So anyway, I took it into, so my radio's not working correctly.
Okay.
And I just took it in because I, whatever, and said this radio's not, it would just change stations randomly, whatever. I took it in. The dealership could not upload the new software to my car. And they didn't understand that, I told them I got rid of the Starlink, which is Subaru directly communicating to the car.
Is that just a cellular data chip? Is that all that is? Like a cellular phone chip?
I don't know if it's LTE. I don't know actually what data transmission it is. But anyway, it doesn't work anymore. And they took 2 days to figure out. And I told them specifically that you have to you're going to have to manually upload the software into the car because there's no data link anymore. And they gave me a rental. Yeah. And they gave me a car to use, and they took
because they couldn't figure it out.
It took it 2 days for them to figure out, and I told them specifically what was the matter with it.
No, they fooled you because they gave you that rental to use, but it had a data link, so they were tracking you. They know every move you made.
Yeah, they tracked me to my house, and
we can't fix it. We can't find the problem. It's going to take us at least 2 days.
I didn't go to the compound with that car, though, so they know what that is.
Okay.
So
it was like a chess match. Spy versus spy.
It is one of those things. And, we were joking. We were like, okay, because our old pickup truck at the shop, our 2008, right? V6, 5-speed manual transmission, analog every damn thing, right? That's what that truck is. It's the old school operating system. but it's extraordinarily robust, right? Since I've had the brand new, F-150, I've had like a life lesson of things that don't work half the time. So it's like, sometimes it'll find my phone, and sometimes it'll find phones from other people that aren't in my car, right? And it does me no good when it's trying to link up to the guy's phone in the car next to me, or the guy, that just drove past me, especially when it breaks communication with my phone to go try to talk to his phone.
Right.
And I'm like,
Fords are ridiculous with that.
Well, and the worst thing is I'm stabbing at the screen trying to make things happen, and it's not responding. So I'm dragging my finger around, doing everything else. And I've learned now the 2-button press and hold to shut the screen off and reset everything, which apparently I have to do fortnightly. So like apparently every fortnight I've got to press those 2 buttons and just reboot my truck's screen.
Well, as much as that BMW taught me about modern technology and motorcycles.
Yeah.
And I was like raving about it and loving it, and I still love it and everything.
Yeah.
But holy fuck, does that motorcycle take over everything that you own? Like it takes over your phone, your comm on your headphones, and when it decides that it's not happy that one thing is on before the other thing, you're sitting there just fucking with stuff and trying to reset everything and start the bike, restart it, make sure this thing's off, that's on. Like don't get me wrong. I know there's user error involved. It's probably me, and I probably don't get the order right. But it just sucks that there is this like weird order that's.
Dan's Triumph won't let him use his hearing aids.
Oh, really?
No, I'm teasing.
Yeah, mine doesn't have Bluetooth.
Yeah, the Steve McQueen. When I got the Steve McQueen, I usually will, when I get a new motorcycle, I will spend an hour with the owner's manual and the bike, and just play with everything. I'll just play with everything the bike can do, simple or not. And when I got the Steve McQueen, I was like, wow, this thing's got this great system that's going to work with my phone, and I can plug my phone in. It's got a nice phone holder under the seat with the USB hookup. That's cool. Triumph's got a great app. I'll be able to do all this cool shit with it. And I went and I tried, and I'm sweating, sitting in my garage. It's now dark. The bugs are coming in. I'm yelling at this fucking bike because it will not Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connect, and hooking up my Senna and hooking up my phone and hooking up the motorcycle, those 3 things, which there are buttons on the motorcycle to go forward to the next song, right? There are buttons on the motorcycle that there is specifically a GoPro channel on this motorcycle. This motorcycle is designed to have a GoPro mounted to it and control the GoPro from buttons on your handlebars.
Yeah.
The likelihood that any of this was ever going to work was a fever dream of the highest element, because 2 things are happening here. 1, it's electronics, and 2, it's British. You cannot have sophisticated electronical controls by the British. Have you ever seen the British space program?
Well, it's so bad. Wait, the whole British thing is so bad that my Mini Cooper, which was actually German,
yes,
but because it was a Mini Cooper,
British,
still had the same fucking.
No, there was
problems.
a fucking Union Jack on the roof, so nothing's going to work.
It's because it's got residual Lucas genes.
Exactly.
I remember when it would rain, the sunroof would just open.
Yeah,
and windows would just go up and down.
Congratulations.
Minis are a nightmare.
Yeah, they really are.
Mine is a nightmare.
So I saw in the article about the 50th anniversary Honda, they're not doing their own nav anymore. No. They're now doing Google Auto or Android Auto and CarPlay.
Right. Yeah.
Is that a good thing, or
they're defaulting their screen, their tablet, their phablet? Because let's admit it, when you purchase a vehicle these days, one of the most expensive parts of the vehicle that you're buying is the operating system. And you're purchasing whatever phablet, whatever tablet, whatever your TFT screen is, or whatever Android screen, or whatever it is you happen to have, whatever religion your vehicle speaks.
Well, there are no gauges anymore.
No,
it's all just a TFT display.
It's a TFT.
But you're better off to default to Google, I think, because every system like Toyota had their own infotainment system, and it sucked.
Well, it was all proprietary.
Yeah.
And I think to take that back to the conversation we had before about the onboard diagnostics used to be all proprietary until they standardized them. And so if they would standardize all car electronics to like a Google system, then let Google do what they do and let Toyota, Honda, and Chevy and Ford do what they do.
We're in line on that.
Here's the thing that I
have
will.
the option. At least have the option to be able. I mean, you do if you have Android Auto on your car or Apple Play, whatever it is.
If you are a consumer in China right now and you're to buy one of any hundreds of different small motorcycles, electric motorcycles, etc., even some cars, they have left out the binnacle. They've left out the pod of instruments. You are meant to put your phone there. And so there is a spot where you will put your phone. It'll do inductive charging to your phone as it sits in that cradle. But the display of the vehicle, the app that you have downloaded for the vehicle, for that vehicle, will light up, and it will have your speedo. It'll have your onboard information about the vehicle you're on. It'll have your audio control, etc. Basically, getting away with the expense of manufacturing all those expensive things and just having a proprietary device there.
I'm on the one hand horrified.
Yes.
And on the other hand, that's ingenious.
Exactly. Right.
Like, oh my God, how can you do that? On the other hand, oh my God, that's actually a really good idea.
It's a really good idea.
Well, I
because you
read that-
already have a screen in your pocket.
Yeah.
I rented that Polestar when I was out west, and that's all Google ecosystem
Yes, it is.
operating system in that car. And it's nice because you know your way around it.
Hey,
you know,
Scotty,
there's no learning curve.
He says Google's already backed away. No Android Auto on new Harleys.
Correct. That's
Well,
right.
Wow.
Everybody always forgets Polestar exists until you see one.
Until
You're
you
like,
see one. Like, that's
Wait a
a
minute,
cool
Polestar
car.
exists. They're actually really cool looking.
The on the Motomarinis, or we'll take it back to that, I was
Yeah.
prepping the Motomarinis and playing around with those, and they have their own proprietary app. And their proprietary app is not Motomarini's specific proprietary app. It's a motorcycle app that they are part of a family of.
Because we the United States ran into an issue the past couple of years where there's a lawsuit against China for proprietary apps on the TFT because of data sent back to somewhere it shouldn't be.
Connectivity and data being transmitted back to the home office.
Correct.
That's exactly what it
Right,
is.
so with it on that line, you should always put a separate router for anything that you think is insecure and isolate that IP.
Yep.
So the only data that can be sent back from that device is the one
Right.
from that device.
I have
And I can't scan all your other devices on your network.
But the shit is real, dude. Like when I was doing a lot of the drone work, like we had to get away from DJI and stuff like that completely. Like anything that was to do with the government or any kind of water towers or any kind of electric or anything, you had to use these only other like Pickhawk or something that was allowed by the government.
Well, Huawei got in trouble, 5 years ago for adding extra chips because they literally were sending data back to China.
If you are foolish enough to believe that any device you
and
own,
TP-Link.
I mean, I have a $45 smartwatch on my wrist. There's a reason it's $45.
Yeah.
Because it's
You're paying for it with your data.
exactly.
Oh, mine was free because it sends it back to my insurance company.
Exactly. Right. It was always the joke. You know,
Well, that's the thing about Geico and Progressive and everybody else. They were, plug this into your OBD port and we'll find out how good of a driver you are and we'll cut your rates. Well, you're a bad driver. We're going to raise them.
worst thing you can ever do is go to a electronic conference, go to an electric trade show, go to CES, go something like else, and people are just going to be handing you thumb drives.
Hey, plug this into your phone.
And
Plug
I
this into your
promise you
computer.
guys, that game of Angry Birds is not worth it. You know, you will experience a total system shutdown at some point, and it is not worth it to put
Why is my phone getting hot?
free. Right. Why
Well,
is
that's because you're looking at porn.
Well, that's true.
when my mom passed and I acquired all of her devices and I plugged in her laptop and it just, the hard drive never stopped spinning. And I was like, holy crap, what the hell's going on? And I looked and she had so many systems in play. Everything was running. My mom had become an entire farm of Trojan horses, right?
Had 100 browser windows open.
Oh my God. How much Bitcoin did she have?
and it just went through, and her computer was just a malware hub. Like my mom's laptop was a server farm. Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. And that's exactly true, because we talk about, you can buy those little the Apple CarPlay screens, and you can buy them on Amazon.
So Redonk, who's on the chat, mentions the wagon, the new Jeeps.
Yeah.
That will play ads when you're come to a fucking stop. And he's not wrong. I've seen this too. They literally will play ads because one of the things that used to be is, because you're a cop, you're a former cop.
Yes, I used to be a police officer.
It used to be that if you had any kind of display in front of the driver's seat.
It's just called, I'll tell you guys, it's called driver inattention, Ohio 4511.19. It's doing anything other than driving while driving.
And people used to get in trouble for like displaying porn on their dashes.
I used to drive around in my van. Remember the Big Red Rocket of Love?
Yeah.
And I had the NEC projector, and we would shoot porn onto the back of 18-wheelers.
Because that's the shit you do.
Awesome.
But like Jeep now, because you have this giant display in the middle of your screen, because you do. You have a big giant TFT in every new car.
Yes. Yeah.
They run ads.
Well, that, my friend, is Orwellian. I mean, that
Phil,
is really...
I think that's what adaptive cruise is actually for, to keep you for the same day.
Because he's right. He's right. He's absolutely, because I saw that the other day on like Motor Trend or something. They're like, yeah, every time you stop your Jeep at a stoplight, it recognizes your stop for more than 5 seconds, and it plays an ad for like.
And then you have to pay money to opt out of the ads.
Yep.
Oh my God. That's
Because
it.
Well, no,
Stellantis
you
is
buy
re-
a new service. If you want the faster reverse, they'll take away this much ad. If you want plaid, if you want the full, option of speed, then you get no ads. It's like, YouTube. You can watch all the
Can they
YouTube
just
you want.
what can I pay to have the head gaskets not leak?
Exactly. Well, that's Subaru.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I said that out loud.
There's an
Find
engineer.
where the antenna is on that car.
Yeah.
Take a needle and slide it right through.
Exactly.
It'll take the thing out.
Yeah.
And then you won't get any more ads. You won't get any more internet. But you won't get any more ads. So.
What was that damn Tom Cruise movie where they would scan your eyes and they would give you advertisement based on you? This is that bullshit.
Us going to the airport a couple of weeks ago, like that
Not only
freaked
that,
me out.
you
man.
do know that when I went to my
Is that Minority Report?
when I went to the Hotel
the one.
Aria in Vegas. When I went to the Hotel Aria in Vegas, I chose the upgrades that said, I'll never have to go and check in at the hotel because that's ridiculous. You have to stand in line to check into a
Phil,
hotel.
here's the porn you would like.
And I did that. And as I walked into not the hallway, not whatever, to the main doors out by Las Vegas Boulevard, when I walked up to the main doors, it said, "Welcome, Phil Waters." Not in a little screen. On the door, like the whole door said, as I approached it, it said, "Welcome, Phil Waters."
And they didn't give you any device? There was no device or just your phone?
Just the one I brought with me.
Oh.
Yeah.
So just the one I brought with me that said, all I have to do is hold my phone or approach my room door and my
So
room
the
door.
app was on your phone.
No, it's the problem they're using. Each phone has a unique ad ID.
Is it in
And so they know exactly who you are, what you look at, and everything. And that's how you get personalized ads to your phone because you have a Google ad ID or like a single ad ID. Plus, you have a Mac ad.
Well, it's probably a lot of NFC going on there too, near field communication.
But if you have that shut off, they could still. I mean, the only thing that's always on is your cell transmitter.
Yeah.
And that's always
promise you.
putting your Mac out or your advertising ID, and you could spoof that so that they can't. You could randomize your Mac so they can't track you like that.
Between touching the door handle of the place, like not actually touching the handle, approaching it, I was shocked to see my name appeared on the front of the building.
Right.
So, anybody that was out to get me knows that I'm the guy they're out to get because I just walked up to the doors of the hotel and the hotel said, "Welcome, Phil Waters." And then on the way to, like,
The sniper got you right there.
and I counted because several times I came and went through this hotel through this, this same exact path. So between me and the elevator were 4 screens. There were 4 opportunities when I walked by, and I saw a very large display that was trying to tell me about things I personally would be interested in their facility.
The Tag Heuer watch you would really like.
Well,
I think back to our last trip, and maybe those people running into you all the time weren't exactly...
they weren't NPCs. Yeah, the last time we were in Vegas, we were convinced the place was run amok with NPCs because they're just people that just couldn't possibly
Meanwhile,
exist.
they're all part of this scam.
and
That's
they're
why,
just proximity activated. right?
That's why you happen to bump the 2 people of all of Vegas happened to be at the bar that day. And
I
then
saw
the
the
next
same.
night.
I saw that same. Dude, there were 30,000 people on Fremont Street, and I saw the same woman 9 times. It is impossible, statistically impossible that happened, and it happened.
Phil's out there releasing Kennedy footage,
and she was proximity activated because she would just stand there blindly looking ahead until we got within a certain distance from her, and then she'd activate.
Yeah,
and then we'd walk away, and she'd just go limp again.
Totally coin operated.
It was the weirdest
Did you ever
shit.
see the movie Free
Absolutely.
Guy? Just like that.
Promise you.
So Pete showed, after I mentioned that, Pete showed me something very important. Pete?
He mentioned a Tag Heuer watch, and I have one in my pocket. I'm not even wearing it on my wrist.
Do you know what they say about guys who wear tags?
No.
Sketchy.
Okay.
Sketchy Pete. Sketchy Pete.
They say about guys who wear tags.
I always like to say Speedy Pete, but Sketchy Pete.
Sketchy Pete.
Some sort of an operator, some sort of sketchy guy. And I don't mean sketchy like he's going to take your money. I mean like sketchy like
He might kill you.
yeah. Well, sketchy has more than one drop gun on him at all
how about
times.
the time you spent in jail in Oklahoma when you were driving through?
I'm not telling you I know everything there is to know about ammonium nitrate fertilizer. But I'm telling you I got a corporate account at Farm and Fleet and I don't have a farm.
So like Pete's about my age.
Or a fleet.
Or a fleet.
Pete's about my age, but somehow he was at Nam. Like I don't know.
He was a WW denying. Yeah. But I mean that is a strange thing when we're talking about motorcycles that have this sort of the screens that are there and they're doing things all the time. Because my general consensus with these is every time I come in contact with one, and I'm like, okay, we tried the electric motorcycles, we tried the electric scooters. These are all things that have apps based on. Well, I'm sorry, they're apps that exist so you can have a better user experience. And what I will tell you is every single one of them, to a unit, sucked whale cock. They're just fucking awful.
What's that line? If you're not paying for the service,
you're the product.
You're the product.
Right. And that is right. But, we had one of these electric bikes that I could turn the key, that device, the thing you hold in your hand. I can turn the key and the fucking thing is bricked. It's a brick. Right? I can press buttons and do things, and it is a brick, but I can turn it on with the app. So I could use the app to turn the vehicle on and ride it wherever I needed to ride it, and then turn it off, walk away from it. It shuts off, right? But the key itself was useless. Okay? And you're like, yeah, that's really fucking stupid. Like that is the technology working backwards. The mechanical key doesn't work, but the app does.
Does the app go through the cloud or does it go directly to the bike itself?
I have no idea. But here's what I can.
I'm curious.
But here's what I can tell you, and this is a fucking thing that scared the shit out of me, because I pulled up to a stoplight one time on this particular bike, and while I was pulling up to the stoplight, and I was kind of like, stabbing buttons on my phone and stabbing buttons on the dashboard, and again, the key is in my pocket. The mechanical metal key is in my pocket. So I'm stabbing things and trying stuff. And I'm like, well, it's running. I mean, it's electric. So it's just being its, state. And I'm like, okay, wiggle the handlebars. And I ran the handlebars to the left and it locked. So the handlebars locked. So I figured out in the time I had been operating the bike, I had never put the handlebars at full left lock. And I realized because the key was in my pocket, not in the bike, that its default was waiting for the handlebars to get far enough to the left that the pin would go into place and it locked, and I couldn't unlock the handlebars.
At least you weren't like going 30 when that happened.
Well, yeah.
Performing some kind of super cool figure eight.
Yeah.
And not being able to extricate myself from the figure eight. My figure eight became a very small, slow figure zero.
Right.
Until I fell down like the kid on Laughing. Okay. Now, instead, I take the key out of my pocket and I jam my key in. Because now I'm like, oh, my column's locked and this light's about to turn green. So I jam the key in the keyhole and I start moving it around to try and find, because key usually works the steering lock. Nothing. Zero. It's fucking locked. So now I've got the dashboard is lit up. I've got a key where the key should be, right?
Yeah.
Everything on the dashboard is green like I should be using it right now. I'm 100% certain if I touch the throttle, I will screw myself into oblivion. Okay? No doubt in my mind, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And the light turns green. I'm fucked. I'm proper fucked. So the bike isn't light enough that I can just pick it up and drag it out of the intersection like He-Man.
You got 12 o'clock, that motherfucker. Go down there.
So I'm like, I got all the people behind me, and I'm just like, I get off the bike, and I'm like, bike of shame. And it's me because I don't have a license plate on the back of the thing, so it's like just already getting attention. And I'm like, just go around. So I have to literally grab my phone, turn my phone, like access the app on my phone, turn the bike off on my phone, turn the bike on again on my phone, and I hear the solenoid throw and pull the pin out of my steering column lock. I have to wait about 30 seconds, and now the bike is drivable. And so and I missed the light. So it's like, I got to do this whole thing over again. And now I got the key in the cocksucker, and I don't even remember what position I have it in, but I'll be fucked if I'm going to turn it now.
Then you turn the thing to the left again.
Right. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to turn this handlebar to the left again until I'm in a parking lot. So I just drove it away carefully from that moment. Never turned it all the way to the left again because I was terrified it might lock on me.
Parked it next to the dumpster.
I got it into my shop. I got it into the shop.
Bringing it back.
And I'm shaking the shit out of it, trying everything, and still couldn't make the key do anything. Turn the key off, take it out of the bike, and nothing changes. So it was like the key and the app weren't talking to each other anymore. Oh, God. I called the manufacturer, who will remain nameless, and I said, do you have any idea what the fuck is going on here? And they're like, yeah, that happens sometimes. Oh. You want to download the new firmware? We got a new app update going on and everything.
Like, I'm in an intersection, dude. Like,
so what you have done is you have turned it off and then turned it back on again.
Have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in again?
Yep.
All right. What I ended up doing was I called them and told them to pick up their pieces of shit and get them out of my shop, and I would never see them again ever. And then we had a couple of them that had worn up like 3 or 4 different, warranty recall kind of claims or whatever. And it just gave me a real bad taste in my mouth for electric vehicles as such, that maybe I'm looking for something that's as reliable as my 25-year-old Milwaukee hand tools.
Well,
right? I want something that works like my M12 system or my M18 system or my M24 volt system. That's what I want. I want something that's as reliable as my fucking Milwaukees. That's what I want.
The problem now, though, is if, whether it's electric, hybrid, or gasoline, the weak link is the software. So all those vehicles have the same problem. I mean, electric motor is reliable. A gasoline engine is reliable. A hybrid is reliable, but it's the interface between all the components and the drivetrain.
Right.
And now that's the weak link on every single vehicle because they all rely on software to make it do what you want it to do. So what do you do?
I want to go rock and stick with everything. I want to absolutely take my electric. I don't think electric motorcycles are a bad idea. I think it's a great idea, a great application of electricity and motive power. And I think electric motorcycles are fantastic if they can be as reliable as my 2001 Milwaukee 24-volt Sawzall.
Yeah, did you see the thing, like the dude that got stuck in his dragster and he did like a fucking 4.5 second run and dragged a fucking Milwaukee like the torque gun down the track, right? What? So the thing is literally like half ground off. What? And the battery's half fucked up and everything, and he's like, and it fucking worked. It was pretty cool. I mean,
I'm not just shilling for Milwaukee here because I own the sexy green ones too.
We're Ryobi craftsmen, but
Makitas are good.
So to your point, the first Zero motorcycle I rode was the MX-01 or whatever it was. The one you had at band camp 10 and a half years ago.
It was an FX. It was the dirt bike. It was
the original one.
Real dirt bike. Yeah.
And literally all it was a motor, a battery, battery controller, and a wicking throttle.
Right.
And that freaking thing would take off.
Is the Ioniq 5 the one that looks like a DS21?
Yes. Yeah, I think so you know what is the weird thing is the Ioniq 5 is the one that you're like, "Oh, that's interesting." The Ioniq 5 is got it's really a good looking car. It looks like art, whereas the Tesla Cybertruck looks like a dumpster. The Ioniq 5 actually looks pleasant.
But it looks like they took the cue from a Citroen.
It does,
doesn't it? I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah. I think every time
I didn't know it was fully electric. I thought it was a hybrid, but is it fully electric?
I just don't like the handles, those inset handles. I mean, I like the concept of it, but I just don't like they're like cheap or something. They seem like they're cheap. But
Well, and
that's the only
that's-
thing I don't like
yeah.
about that car.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I totally get it. And we had a customer come in the shop the other day. I have been in a Tesla, a Tesla S model in Boston. The guy's like, I got 360,000 miles on this thing. And that's what I do is I do Uber, I do Lyft. That's what I drive the hell out of this thing. And he absolutely loved it. It's paying his bills. It's paying for his kids to eat. That car is leaving him. It's making him money every single day that he owns it.
Well, that's, as bad, take all the crap away. Mm-hmm. Electric cars are brilliant.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
There is nothing to fix.
Right.
You literally have to lubricate a couple things. You literally have to change the tires. You're good to go as long as that battery is good. Mm-hmm. Now, in China and a couple of Eastern countries, they will hot swap the batteries, which is fucking brilliant, fucking perfect. It's the way it should be. You can hot swap the fucker. Don't worry about because you even invested in a hot swap battery for scooters.
Yes. The name of the company is GoGoRo, and everywhere except for the United States, GoGoRo is a legit thing.
And
yeah.
that way you never, because everybody's always like, oh, you got to spend 30 minutes charging up your Tesla on the supercharger. Okay, cool. If you hot swap the battery, it takes 5 minutes, which is about the time it takes to gas up a car, rock and go.
But who just came out with supercapacitors or no batteries? It's like they can charge in like 5 minutes, and they have the same capacity as a lithium ion.
I was like, I was such a stalwart with the electric bikes because the electric bikes I had were fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. They worked great. Never had a problem with it. They were cool until they started doing over-the-air updates until they started doing firmware updates without me knowing about it, without my customers knowing about it. And because that thing is sitting there going, hey, is there an update this minute?
Yep.
Hey, is there an update this minute? And what I had a bike that on your bike, when you bought your Zero, we could park your bike on October 1st, go to Cancun, spend your entire winter the fuck away from Cleveland, come back on March 1st, turn the key on your bike, and if we parked your bike at 80%, it would be at 79%. And that's how Zero worked. And you'd park it, lock it, and leave it. Walk the fuck away. You'd park it, you'd walk away, you'd come back, you lost 1, maybe 2% of your battery.
And now it's 30%,
okay.
or 40%.
I'm losing, on the bikes I've had in the shop, I'll charge the battery up to 80, 85%. The bike is in my goddamn store. It's not going anywhere. It's literally sitting on the floor of my shop. 30 days later, I will walk up to the bike, turn it on. My 80% is now 30%. It is not out of the question that my consumer who leaves Cleveland on November 1st to go to their home in Florida and come back from their home in Florida on March 1st, their battery is now bricked because its desire to do over-the-air updates on a routine basis will drag that battery all the way down to nothing, thereby damaging the battery to the point where it will not safely accept a charge.
What's the urgency, though, really, to update like that?
There is none, and it's
no
stupid
urgency.
because
it's all
marketing.
false.
It's the marketing department.
False.
It is data capturing. It is selling the information about their operators to marketing departments and everything else.
Every golf cart in America that has ever been sold since 1981 has like 20 dry cell 6-volt batteries in it. And there is no reason for them to go, you know what we need every week? A new firmware update.
Right. Yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing that my customers went from living a life of saying, okay, I'm parking my bike, it's wintertime, I'm going away, my bike will be fine.
Yeah, especially because it's like no oil to worry about, no gas,
that
no
was
ethanol.
the idea.
Yeah, it's the ease. Like this is perfect for Ohio. I can just put it away.
EV is perfect. EV is perfect when you start implementing stupid shit.
When I signed up to be a dealer, one of the reasons that I did was that zero maintenance. The name of the company. Zero maintenance. And for my consumers, that's a great thing. They can park it and they come back 6 months later and it's lost 1%. Yeah. Right? But from that day on, every 6 months, every 7 months, the protocol would change. Well, now we want to have them park it at 35%. Oh, next month, now we want them to park it at 81%.
They say the same thing about cell phones. You should never charge them up. Every single cell phone I've had that are 10 years old.
See, you know what?
I charge to 100% every single night. I just never let them get down to 2%.
Well, now what they're saying, which is, I think is ridiculous, is because, again, every single person that bought one of these bikes didn't get a paper owner's manual. They got a living document. You go on the app, you read the document, and then they can change it as many times as they want and blame you for the condition of your vehicle because you didn't read the document. You're like, well, the document I read said I should park it, lock it, and leave it. And you've changed that. You've changed the rules on me. And a lot of my customers have phones that fold in the middle and not in the sexy way, right? A lot of my friends, a lot of my customers are old school kind of people. And if I told them when they bought their bike in 2013, you charge it up to 65% and you leave it over the winter, you're fine. Well, that's what they did. And that worked great for them for 4 or 5 years. And now all of a sudden they come back and they owe $4,000 for new batteries.
There is
upset.
No reason. No reason.
This is
these to be overcomplicated.
No.
The whole industry kind of fucked up because they could have had the opportunity to make electric motorcycles like hand drills.
Sure.
They could have made them so if they were trustworthy like that, like something that you knew is come back to it, people wouldn't have been so apprehensive about it.
Oh, they've lost my trust.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, man, they're
go.
not a tool. They're not a twist and go, plug it in, you're cool.
Do you know
They're
the
not
third
that.
time I drove to Toledo to pick up the same fucking bike?
Ooh, yeah.
But think about the software and the BCM on those zeros can be programmed to put it wherever they want it to put it.
Absolutely.
So why is it on the consumer to have to read all these manuals when they could just say, well, we've decided that 65% storage is where we want it to be, and then all you have to put is one line in. If your bike is unused for a week, the BCM will take your bike down to 65 and shut off. And then if you decide to use it, please charge it before you use. That would be very simple to do.
That's the way it used to be.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be because that takes the error out of everything.
And simple solution, just disconnect the 12-volt aux battery and they won't update. So good, that is an absolutely excellent tech tip. Most of your vehicles now in the zero electric motorcycles, they do have a little tiny lithium battery. It's adorable. It's the size of a pack of cigarettes, and it's a little 12-volt lithium. And here's the weird thing about those 12-volt lithiums: when your bike is plugged in and it's charging. Okay. When your bike is plugged in and charging, it's charging the main battery pack and it's charging that big giant 106 volt battery. Yay. But it's not charging that little 12 volt battery at all. And you'd think a 12 volt little tiny lithium battery would last a really, really long time, but they don't. And the only time they charge is when you're actually riding the bike. So when you're riding the bike, your big ass 106 volt battery is charging your adorable little 12 volt battery. But when your bike is at home on the charger, it's not charging your adorable 12 volt little battery. It's a little bit fucking annoying. Yep. Go ahead, Tom.
So, getting off the subject of this.
Yeah.
Motosmith Garage.
Yes.
Has pledged $7
whole dollars.
$6.99 in Canadian.
In Canadian currency.
We like. See, we have no trade problems.
We
here.
have no problem with trade here. And by the way,
yes,
I can taste the maple syrup.
Yes,
absolutely.
I can taste.
Our brothers and sisters up north.
I can taste. I can literally.
So to get off, because we will go all night on EV,
and we will.
I love EV. I wish Zero had worked greater than it did.
Oh yeah, it was a fail.
But if you have a question, we have an answer.
Yeah, we're here for you, buddy. And he says he needs new tires for his DR650. What's the decent road and off-road fitty tire?
Now, I'm going to say 60-40. Because if you're more on-road than off-road, you want 60-40, not 50-50.
So I'm going to defer to Pete and Sleepy.
Yeah.
Because my off-road time is measured by the minute. And anytime I'm off-road, I'm in sheer terror mode. I am not comfortable off-road. I do it. I don't like it. And if you ask me what tires are better, I'm going to tell you anything that makes me not be off-road.
Well, I'm going to defer to him because so far my two choices have not been optimal.
Really?
No.
What did you try?
They were great for the road. So I did the Shinko 705s or whatever, the 6040s.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, for like what I did mostly, not bad. But if you actually go off road, not so good.
Really?
Yeah.
Getting out front of this, and I know Pete's gonna go counter. Pirelli Scorpion.
Well,
I'll agree with that.
I can.
Great tire.
Yeah, I can only tell you that everything that shows up in my shop already has Scorpions on it.
I'm going to say Dunlop Trail Max Missions.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
Not the Mission Raid, but the straight up Trail Max Mission.
Good to know.
And Sean's going TKC 80s.
That's a 80-20.
Yeah.
That's
a little knobbier. Than
I'm a 60-40 guy.
I like those ones that you put on my Africa Twin.
Yeah.
The upgraded version of it that had...
Those were the missions.
Those were missions?
Yeah, those are the missions.
Yeah, those were the original versions sucked.
Yeah.
If it was like powder, it would you wash out on them. But when they added those parallel...
The stipends?
On the side. Those things were great.
Yeah, you like those.
Well, on a DR650, it's going to see more street than off-road is my big question. It's going to see more off-road than on-street because that's the trick is
I've got one
where you're riding most.
I got one KLR that barely ever saw the street ever, and I got another KLR that has only been dirty once.
I mean, this is mission appropriate.
Yep, and that's the big thing. Usually, I'm only off-road for the shortest amount of time possible until I get back on road again.
That's why I'm a Scorpion guy.
I had big dreams. I had big dreams of going hard off road, and then I got hard off road, and then my knees go, "Hey, dude."
I just like TKC 80s because they make my dick hard. Because I look at that tire and I'm like, that is a fucking
hey, Sleepy,
burly tire.
Sleepy Scouts Moto Avenger just popped up on the chat, and he's going to be somebody who wants to chime in on this. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
So
here you go. 705s are fine.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. And I agree with them. I think I got $6,000, maybe 56 out of my rear tire.
Who had those Russian tires on the back of their bike?
The Heidenau's?
No, the aggravators or the tractionators. Or
I did. I liked those. The tractionators were good. Yeah.
I had a customer bring those in, and they were so square. I thought he'd run them on his sidecar for 5,000 miles. He brought these things in, and where the chevrons used to be,
Trail Max Mission.
They were just flat. They were just fucking flat. They were squared to fuck off.
Trail Max Mission.
Trail Max Missions, yeah, absolutely. That's another vote.
Too.
I'm still
those
going
last long too.
Easy going. I'm still going with the Scorpions.
Yeah. And that's what's funny is because all the Stelvios we got, all the Moto Guzzis we got, all the Moto Marinis we got, they all have Scorpions. They all come in with Scorpions on it. So, and even on the electric, on the DSRX and the DSRs, which are pretty fucking high end, they can put any tires they want on there. Those come with Scorpions on them too. So clearly somebody likes those. Yeah.
Hey, cheers, Patty, by the way. Thanks for joining us.
Indeed. Yeah.
This is, we've gotten a little bit of feedback on, oh gosh, you guys are interacting with the chat a lot. But the reality is,
as long as we read it out,
interacting with the chat.
But you have to read it out so the people who are listening to the audio only. Because remember, how many people are participating in the chat right now, Tom? What are we up to? How many people?
We were up.
Okay, all right.
We're up to 35.
35. Well, we have 35.
That's a lot.
We have 35.
And somebody mentioned the Anarchy, which I have not really thought about in a while.
I'm not a big Anarchy fan.
But we're at 35 now, which is kind of a high point.
Mm-hmm. But again, you're really excited about those 35 people. Yeah. But we have over 4,000 listeners who listen to it through their ear holes.
Absolutely, but that is why we have to repeat what people are saying.
The interaction is what's driving it, which is way more fun. But like Phil's saying, if we're going to say something, I'm putting them up. If you decide to talk about what is up there, just mention what is being talked.
Which is kind of why I've been going, Sean's been saying.
It's a learning process. Exactly. We literally went from not doing this to having a TV studio in 2 months. So, yeah.
Hey, does anybody want to hear any feedback from our Patreon members?
Yes.
Hate mail. I love hate mail.
Ryan Hegdahl. So Ryan Hegdahl, what a name. Ryan Hegdahl says, hello, gents. I'm sorry to tell you that the Urban Cross for this year has regretfully been canceled due to a denial of a permit to use the dirt bike trail by the city council.
That was the Detroit one?
I think that was the one that went in and out of the barns.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. But on a brighter note, I have my 1985 YZ250 ready to go for an 8-race season, starting with the Verb, V-U-R-B Moto, Smoke Ridge at Oak Ridge MX. That's a lot of letters. May 16th through 18th. The other six will be local stadium supercross races. Stadium supercross. We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Sunday.
And races and a couple of fair races. Fair races are also very cool, pending the survival of my Z-spoke hubs.
That's very fair.
So, yeah, it's very cool. 1985 YZ250, though. That is super vintage. That is a super vintage, vicious motorcycle. Finally, I was listening to episode number 492, and I heard Tom talking about how he has so many people trying to hire him, and was thinking to myself, this is exactly why, as soon as my children hit middle school, they will be learning how to operate both a knee mill and a lathe, so no matter what they choose for a career, they will have a viable backup plan. Interesting.
Yep.
Thanks for such a great podcast, and enjoy a couple of pictures of the 1985 YZ. Ryan Hegdahl, also not sure if I know Matt Davison or Dave Matheson or not. I do commute to Des Moines from Marshalltown, so who knows, we may have run into each other at some point. Dave Matheson or Dave Matheson or Matt Davidson. Sure, yeah, real.
So
he might be up there right now.
So to the point,
yes.
When I was a kid, the most recession-proof job ever was a blue-collar job.
Of course.
Now, as a mechanic, the most recession-proof job is a mechanic.
Yeah,
But he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Your kids need to know how to run a mill.
Being a machinist.
Right. There are not
anything.
enough.
Right.
Anything.
Yeah, there's not.
Any technician ever.
Do you know that machinists are not allowed to retire?
No, they can't.
I delivered a bike not long ago to the hinterlands of Ohio, out in the deep corn, in the way deep corn. And I'm out there and I'm delivering this bike, and I see this really kick-ass pole barn looking thing up there. And I was like, that looks very nice. Somebody spent some money on here. And I go inside, and the man has all the machines.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what he's doing?
Work.
He's doing heads.
He's doing work.
Yeah.
He's doing heads. He's doing heads for garden tractors. He's doing heads for real tractors and cars and shit like that. And I said, where the hell? He used to work at the Lima tank plant. And he retired after 30 years of the Lima tank plant. And he's making as much money now today as he did before he retired on his own terms with his own machines that he bought at HGR for pennies on the doll hair.
HGR is the best.
And he's over there and he's showing me his beautiful Bridgeport. He's showing me his beautiful CNC turret lathes and all this cool shit he's got. And he's got all these machines humming along. And you know what he's doing? Making money.
My godson's father, one of my best friends, he got his job because the plant machinist, the head man of the machine shop, everybody said, if you don't hire him, I retire right now. If you do hire him, I retire in 6 months.
Yeah.
Real quick.
And because they had to bring him up to speed. Now, we did get a donation. We have to.
Well, this is a message to the resistance, and Nomad CF paid $50 to get it out.
Is that resistance?
It says Shiba dog wearing samurai armor, writing, "You're amazing in the air with sparklers." So if that activates you, welcome. Thank you very much.
Yes, for $50, your voice can be heard in ClevelandMoto podcast.
Is that a Manchurian candidate thing?
It is a Manchurian. He's just activated a whole cell.
Oh, gosh.
There's a whole sleeper cell of guys, and all they own are Honda CL200s.
You know, after Riley passed, we've been thinking about another dog.
There you go.
Shiba kind of to the to the top.
Yeah, that's
Shiba.
And by the way, I want to call attention that Mr. Hegdahl, and since we're in the financing department, clearly in the financing member of our thing, Alex Hearn said, longtime listener. Okay, we're going to ring the bell. Dave King says, I'm a machinist, a die builder, in fact, and my coworker is a 75-year-old Vietnamese guy. That's what I'm joking. Like the guy that I was talking to that had that whole shop set up in his garage and was pole barn building this amazing setup. He retired from Lima Tank Plant, and they called him back in.
Oh, yeah.
At 70 plus years old, they're like, hey, how's that retirement thing working out for you? Do you like money? And he was like, well, my wife's sick of looking at me, so I like money. I'll come in and, I'll come in and get out of her fucking face for 5 hours a week. And they did.
Dave King says the same thing. His coworker, 75 plus years old.
So if you're a machinist, you're in such demand right now that you're not allowed to leave or die.
We have not trained, because in my generation, because our generation as well, everybody here, was not, we were told white collar jobs.
Well, in 1987, I graduated from high school. In 1989, shop class was closed.
Yeah. 92, I was told shop class was for people that were going to prison.
Well, that's vocational arts, right?
Freaking mechanic.
Patrick McNamara, Mr. Patrick McNamara, again, come on, Patrick. He just bumped his fucking Patreon from $10 to $20.
Wow. Nice.
He just gets a whole different level of the jokes now. Well done, Patrick. Well done, Patrick McNamara. We're thrilled to have you, my friend. That is fucking cool. That is one of those deals. And we also have Shop Patreon just came in. Don't know who they are. Not much of a message there, but they also came into $5 member. Yay. That's pretty cool. And go ahead.
Speaking of donations,
yes.
How many tickets did they sell at MotoGo for the...
We're going to talk about that. Yeah. So Skidmark Garage, MotoGo, bringing back shop class benefit. They are trying desperately to sell tickets for a 2002 or 3 Harley Davidson. FLH. And by the way,
It was the 2000.
It was fuel injected?
It was the 2002.
2002.
It was the 99th anniversary model.
It's potentially fuel injected.
No, hold on. It is fuel injected. I checked and I did buy a ticket. So I am in for.
And I bought 2.
Nice. So we got at least 3 here. Somebody at this table is winning that bike.
And I bought tickets for the Husqvarna.
Nice.
Well, because Phil bought those tickets specifically so I could ride it.
There you go. Yeah. And it's funny.
I'm going to ride that for a year.
Because I was just like, the other day, Brian came on his Instagram and he's like begging people to buy tickets. And I was like, oh man, let's go. And I looked and there weren't that many tickets sold. And keep in mind, I didn't mention this, but there are only 100 tickets.
Right.
So like, if you're one of these, like, I'm good at gambling, you will not get those kind of odds that you're going to buy a ticket and be one of only 100 tickets. So, you got to be smart with a big dick to get better odds than that. This is a great opportunity to have a motorcycle cheap, like super cheap.
Smart with a big dick. I got one of those.
I'll let you figure it out. Don't think about it too long.
The most ironic thing ever would be for me to win that fucking thing.
It's not ironic if you buy a ticket. If you buy a ticket, that's a predictable outcome that one of 100 tickets is going to win that fucking bike, right? And I can tell you who's not going to win it: the guy who doesn't buy a ticket. You
can't win if you don't play.
That's right. That's how it works. So, tickets bought. Scott Dennis says tickets bought. Yeah, and
because it is a really, I like, as bad as it is, it's a really cool looking bike. It's all white.
Bad. It's a motherfucking dope bike, dude. Cool bike. Like, I legitimately want the bike, dude. Like, no kidding.
If you win that bike, ironically.
Okay.
If you're such a fucking hipster that you're only buying a $100 ticket so you could hope to win it ironically. Yeah. So you can buy a Harley Davidson hat and a Harley Davidson t-shirt and a Harley Davidson belt and some Harley Davidson boots, and you want to ride that bike ironically, you might accidentally end up liking it. Because I used to be a pretty anti-Harley fella. And you see what I got in my garage, right?
Oh no, that cafe! Every time I walk in the showroom, that cafe actually talks to me. And
it's a great looking bike.
I'm like, God damn it, no!
So any details about the actual raffle? We're not running them. It's nothing to do with us. It's just Moto Go. But if you go to the website, so somebody asks if they'd be delivered or something, they'll define all that. Like it's on there. I don't know anything about that.
You know what, Sleepy? You know what? We are helping brother out.
It's very, if you guys want to buy the raffle ticket and you need to know how to do it, you can just go to MotoGo Benefit Raffle. If you want to type that into your Google browser, it's really only one thing. The MotoGo Benefit is what you're looking for. And I'm going to test it right now. I'm going to acid test it. MotoGo Benefit, check. It's the first thing that comes up, called MotoGoCleveland.com. Can't miss it. And 2025, bringing back shop class to the benefit. It's literally the first link that shows up. So there you go. Rock on.
And we would have had it, but we were missing an HDMI cable tonight.
Yeah, sorry about that. We're actually missing a whole HDMI, right?
So now we had the guy a couple of weeks ago from Ireland who was watching in. Mm-hmm. Now, Alex, let me get this right. Alex Hearn from Australia.
Australia. Yeah.
Sydney.
Yeah, well, this isn't Bagel. Bagel's not here. We're not going to do the voices.
Well, that's true.
Sorry, only Bagel's allowed to do the voices. Right? He does them so well. We're not going to try to steal his.
That is wild that people as far away as Sydney. Australia.
I'm an honorary member of the Sydney Scooter Club.
Oh.
I have the patches and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, they made me an honorary member out back there. And they gave me a sidecar rig to ride around the whole time I was there. On the wrong side of the road. No, those I had to pay for that.
Oh, you had to pay for the Kookaburra?
$20, same as downtown.
Yeah.
The not a bad deal. If you're gonna have a kookaburra, you might as well. It's worth the $20.
That's where Sean comes in.
Right. That's just solid. Around the world.
Off all yeah, that's fair.
Around the world in the kookaburra.
Kookaburra.
Yeah. I would tell you to stop at the didgeridoo. Don't do that. Don't spend extra for the didgeridoo.
No, it's all $5.
No, that's it. And,
$5. Same as Dundee.
Yeah, exactly. But
same by the Opera House.
It's a drop bear's drop bear.
Drop bear's drop bear.
That's it. It's all drop bear among friends. I will tell you, I traveled one time. Dr. Waters and I went on a honeymoon. We went on a honeymoon, and we took with us bags of luggage as one does, and we're traveling all across goddamn the world. And I think we were in Germany or something, and I opened up the thing, and at my house we had a koala bear on a string that we would throw at each other. And when Renee was living at us, we would scream drop bear and throw the koala bear at you. Right?
This is why Renee has that reaction.
PTSD.
Right.
Yeah. And so we would scream koala bear and we'd scream drop bear. Drop bear and throw the koala bear at your face. And it would happen at all times, right? And it kind of fuck with the cats, and it's cool. But again, you became a little sensitive to it because you never knew when it was going to hit you because drop bear out of fucking nowhere.
So now if you come by the shop and you yell drop bear, remember Renee is armed.
Well, it's true. And we opened up our luggage, though, and that fucking koala bear was in our luggage. That fucking koala bear had become an international drop bear. And trying to explain to the guests that you're staying in your A and B and everything else why last night they just heard you occasionally screaming drop bear. And you're like, oh, okay, I get that. Yeah,
I'm sure I've heard worse.
Drop bear.
Not there. Not in the face.
How come they only do that on vacation? Right? How come they're always doing it in our place? That is a real thing that happens. I can't explain it any better, but that's exactly what happens. The stuff with the Patreon, the stuff with the people making donations. I'm not going to be putting that into the ClevelandMoto, let's take a trip to Walmart fund. No, this is all stuff. We've been really lucky to be able to use our Patreon money to do some cool shit.
Like buy booze.
And, well, not just buy booze.
I know, the fridge.
To do the fridge, to do a lot of things that help out around here. And buying better equipment and that, but also, please, guys, put AMA Vintage Days on your schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Because we throw money around at AMA Vintage Days. We feed people. We put up
we'll have
a good
the
camp.
Entire FEMA camp up with the blue tops. Becky is already planning an entire bar.
Yeah, we really do. We want you guys to come out and enjoy our hospitality.
And we want to control that last lane because there are a lot of old guys that are like, oh, we don't like y'all making all the noise. Well, you need to fuck off out somewhere else.
It's a good neighborhood. We like our neighborhood. Yeah,
because we are leading up to Captain's Corner. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is we're kind of your last bastion of, hey, come by. First words, bring ice.
Yeah, bring ice, be cool.
Bring a bottle of something.
Yeah, bring ice, be cool.
Donations are great. Donations are wonderful.
Nobody's ever said, can I bring you guys some ice and had me say no.
No. I by all means.
It's mid-Ohio, dude. Just show up with ice.
Bring a thing. We don't care.
Yeah.
Hang out.
Yeah.
You're welcome to come.
It's a good time.
And then, if you want to stay in our neighborhood, it's perfect.
And if you stay around long enough, somebody's going to put food in your mouth.
Exactly.
Or bourbon or whatever.
Or something else.
And to my picking friends,
yes,
I have some list of songs. I did. I did. All right.
An update.
All right. Here's an update. Oh, wait, hold on.
A home game.
All right. Here we go. Breaking news. Breaking news.
So John's going to have a few other songs, but first of all, anything by Johnny Cash. We do a lot of Johnny Cash type songs around the campfire there. We're going to do Mama Tried, a little version of Deep Ellum Blues, Going Down the Road Feeling Bad, probably a little back-to-back action there, like Dead style. The Mid-Ohio song. We're going to all sing the Mid-Ohio song that some guy wrote,
Yeah, that you wrote. Yeah. The Middle House song is great.
Maybe some John Prine, a little Paradise.
Yeah.
A little Whiskey by Trampled by Turtles.
Yes.
Psycho by Eddie Novak, which is a classic. A lot of people will know it. If they don't, they'll learn it that
They'll
night.
learn it that night.
A really interesting song.
So bring your guitar.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Well,
Bring your
these
guitar.
people are, they hit
No,
it
I mean,
out.
if you're listening to this podcast and you own a guitar.
Or a bass. Or a ukulele.
Or a kazoo.
Or you can play. We're not going to judge.
Or a kazoo.
We're just going to play some chords.
Lots of kazoos.
Some of us going to play some notes in between the
That's cool.
chords. Some other guys aren't.
Yeah. I see a whole lot of people playing the 55-gallon. I'm sorry. I see a lot of people playing the 5-gallon pickle bucket.
And the
That'll happen.
kazoos.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Johnny Mac's got his whole list of like sing-along. He loves the big sing-along.
He does like the big sing-alongs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
these
that's a
are
good
kind of
idea.
like that too, but they're a little deeper, you know.
Right. Yeah. I just see a bunch of people sitting around this 40 below and don't give a fuck. I hear my truck and I'm off to the rodeo.
Yeah. Well, that'll
Hell
happen too.
yeah.
King of the Hill
It's
theme.
an Alaman left, an Alaman right. Come on, you motherfucker, get your right step right. Get off stage, goddamn goof, you know. Piss me off. Fucking jerk. Get on my nerves. I'll sing that all day long.
I can see us there already.
Yeah, I think it's just a great opportunity to sit around and get weird. Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But that's one of the things that we really like. And
So I'm going to say this right now. If anybody sings Country Roads, there are two things I'm going to do. I'm going to offer you $20,
$10 Patreon level.
or I'm going to freaking punch you in the face. You get two options. But you start that bullshit, I will punch you.
See, now that's a dichotomy.
Much to exactly.
Country Roads, fuck you, asshole.
And much to Tom's chagrin, as the number one song that is trending at Christmas in Europe, everywhere I went.
I will throat punch you. I will donkey punch you. You tell me what to fucking do. I will fucking smack you. It's cool.
Every Christmas market I went to in Germany this year. Wagon wheel. Yes, exactly. Every Christmas market I went to, within 15 minutes of us being there, coming over the PA, coming out of live bands, coming out of whatever, Oompa bands, Country Roads.
My sister even pulled that up. She's like, is this not the most worldly known fucking song about America? And I'm like, absolutely yes. And if you play that, I will throat punch you.
Prague, Czechoslovakia. Yeah. The name of the bar?
Ufleku.
Ufleku. Ufleku. Have you'd have asked us 10 minutes before going into Ufleku, would we be hearing Country Roads played on Oompa band music, Oompa band instruments? I might have said no.
But would it be worse to hear that or like Red Solo Cup or some horrible fucking country song?
Baby Shark?
Having grown up in the armpit of fucking hell, that song is ingrained in my fucking soul. And you know what? I hate that fucking song.
Well, you know what it beats?
Okay.
Cool in the Gang on accordion.
I'm personally, I feel that way about Hang On Sloopy.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you're just around it too much and you're just like, fucking hell.
Becky's an OSU person, so automatically she's like, oh, Hang On Sloopy. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with Ohio? There's no fucking river. There's a river, but there's nothing else.
I promise you.
What the fuck is
it? Doesn't make a lot of sense, but you would have never survived my European vacation for Christmas because every freaking every Stadtteil, every village, every place we went that had, there you go. Tom only likes songs about New Orleans.
Yeah, we'll have comments about that later.
Yeah, that's it. But it's funny that we would just walk around and I was like, are we so obviously American that they're like, okay, they're here, play Country Roads. Right?
Voces Americanos.
Oh my God.
Cue the music.
Cue the music. Right, they're here.
Country Roads. Fuck you, you piece of shit.
Wait, if they played it on if a brass band played that, would you like it?
Oh no, I will never like it.
Phil, I had the same experience one
because
time.
it's not about West Virginia. It's about the fact that he did not know shit about West Virginia. It's about Virginia. It's about Shenandoah over the east. And number two,
that's the part that pisses you off.
No. The part is that every time I fucking go anywhere, I fucking hear it, and I had to grow up with that shit.
It strikes me as just being kind of a light country pop banger.
The other song. What is it?
Tom, let me just cut to the chase. I think it's self-loathing here.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That is fair.
The real problem here is that John Denier's plane crashed into the side of a mountain, and there was a certain earthworm that got taken out by the plane, And so he's responsible for basically killing a whole species of earthworm.
Butterfly effect.
that true?
Got it. Yeah, butterfly effect.
No, but it sounded good.
But I think it's actually over water that he crashed, wasn't it?
I don't know. Tom shot down.
Because the experimental plane went down.
Tom shot down John Denver's airplane. I'm along with that.
No, he worked on it.
No, Country Roads was written by Glenn Campbell.
Now you all have seen me shoot skeet, so if I was going to shoot down a plane, anyway, moving along.
So Tom, what was part 2 of your diatribe there?
You know what? I have had enough booze. I don't care.
The whole idea is, I get it. There's a song you're supposed to hate. What the fuck is that? There's
Sweet Caroline.
No, it's fine.
The Lion Sleeps Tonight is the one that I hate.
You
the
hate.
most. I hate that song.
If I'm at a wedding and they play Celebrate, I just lose my shit.
You do.
I have to leave. I go outside. I start smoking. I don't even smoke. I just go outside.
What about Ladies' Night, though?
Nope. Any of those cliche wedding songs, I'm like, okay.
Steve gets a little nervous when they play "It's Raining Men," you know.
Oh man.
Oh, dear.
And then Sean's at home going, play it for me.
Well, yeah.
That
you know what? O'Hara brings up Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Rocky Top, Tennessee. The song that still the song that puts my nails on chalkboard into full activation is a little banger by Van Halen with Sammy Hagar at the helm. Why Can't This Be Love?
Okay.
Arguably, okay. So
That's fair.
you have to remember, as a child, I was a devotee of David Lee Roth powered Van Halen. I was also a huge fan of the Red Rocker, but putting them together was truly mustard and jelly. No bueno, right? Two good things on their own. Don't put them together. Fucks everything up. And when that song came out and became the world-rocking, conquering hit that it was, and it sold 90 billion.
Phil was overstimulated.
I fucking can't stand that song. That is one of those ones. And so the other day in the shop, I'm just, in weird mode in my head, prepping bikes. And I start whistling.
I would do that. I would absolutely punch somebody out for requesting country roads.
I started whistling this tune. I was like, what the fuck am I whistling? And I was like, why can't this be love? And I was like, oh fucking hell. You have become that which you despise.
Yeah.
And it's really what it is. And there's always going to be that one song that you cannot fucking stand.
Simple Man.
Our friend Ryan Foltz is an ace musician. He's a hell of a sound guy. He's been in Dropkick Murphys. He's been in the Boys from County Hill. Like, he's a guy. He's been in Rancid, for fuck's sake, right?
Yeah.
Ryan's been around. But if you play the song Mustang Sally, he will quit you.
That is
I may or may not be in a band with Ryan. Just saying.
Don't play Mustang Sally. No. He will quit you.
In the Adirondacks, every single band plays, I think it's called The Weight. Is that the right name? Is that the title of the song? It doesn't.
You mean like the Beatles song, Carry That Weight? Or is it going to be like...
There's a song just called The Weight. Like the,
it's
like the band
Take a Load Off Maggie.
Oh, Take a Load Off Maggie. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So every single band up there plays that song.
That's like their banger. That's their main hit.
Yeah, and it was interesting because you were saying that Country Roads is
the
song they play in Europe. But
and it has that same impact. Like, European people love that fucking track, and they play it, and they just think it's the coolest thing in the world to play Country Roads. And it's funny when you're in Czechia or somewhere, and every single human being is singing Country Roads, and you're like,
with an accent.
They're nailing it, and they're just nailing it. And the same guy who's like, I can't understand a word you're saying, is singing every fucking nuance, every subtle fucking thing about Country Roads. And they're like, West Virginia. And I'm like, what? Where did that come from? And meanwhile, I'm trying to like order a fucking schnitzel, and all of a sudden it's no habla inglés, but meanwhile, you sang every word for Country Roads. I remember being at that Castle Mexican restaurant in Lorraine. Yeah, no shit. Watching boomers throw in line dance style to Mustang Sally on the patio. Yes, that is so true. We have a restaurant in Lorain County that looks out over Lake Erie. It's prime real estate, and it's called Papacitas, and it is arguably fifth tier Mexican restaurant.
They always have live bands,
but they always have live bands
on the patio.
On the patio,
really is true.
And it's the best view of Lake Erie. It is prime, and it used to be a medieval themed restaurant, like, you know, those things.
Wench, bring me my beer.
Oh, you're a fucking paltry knave. Yep. Bring me more quesadillas. And I mean, it's not as far as like a Casa Bonita kind of thing. It's just a castle. It's just like a shitty castle that is a Mexican restaurant. Tom went into the closet to crank a quick little John Denver tune. Yes.
Actually, he was cranking it to a John Denver tune.
Oh, I wish I knew more than one John Denver tune right now.
Look, nobody knows more than one John Denver tune.
I just remember from the Muppets. That's all.
The only hit they know about John Denver is when he hit the ground.
Yeah, I remember Colorado Rocky Mountain High. That just instantly popped into my head for no goddamn reason whatsoever.
The ground, yeah,
that's it.
And on that note,
on that note, before we cut off to everybody, we've had so much fun doing the YouTube lives.
Yeah,
they're pretty rad. Tell your friends. Tell your friends. And here's another tip: subscribe, you assholes. Do you know why? Because it's free, and it helps.
As every channel I know watches, hit the subscribe button.
Do you know how close we have been to 10,000 subscribers, but not been able to cross that line?
So we've been edging 10,000?
We have been edging 10,000 for a good long time. I mean,
God, man, we got to be building up to that 10,000.
When we hit 10K.
What if the 10K could happen on our 500th episode?
It's up to the people at home.
That could be a thing that they can help us achieve, man.
We are planning on that 500.
Yeah, it is coming up. We're not going to tell you what we're going to do.
We've been edging towards that 500.
But if you guys ask enough, Tom's willing to, like, show you things.
I usually reserve that for the OnlyFans.
Oh man,
you should say if this podcast hits 10,000,
right,
he sings Country Roads.
It's very simple.
You know what? That's absolutely fair. If we hit 10,000 at 500,
okay. Here's the rules, guys.
I'll do it.
So currently, the ClevelandMoto YouTube channel. So just at ClevelandMoto. There's nothing fancy about it. All right, at ClevelandMoto is currently at 9,760 subscribers. So we're only 240 people away from hitting 10K.
Like if your ball sack was covered in hair, it's mostly shaved at this point.
At this point,
just a couple extra fucking strokes.
At this point, we are very, very close to completing.
Yeah.
To arriving.
We're almost there.
We're almost there.
Almost to the climax.
And when you hit 10,000, I think YouTube sends you a nail.
Well, they demonetize you.
Look, there is nothing about this that is significant or apropos of anything.
It is to us.
But to us, it's just the idea of having 10,000 subscribers. And it's hard when you're getting 5,000 to 10,000 downloads a week. To not have 10,000 subscribers. It makes me feel like there's a lot of fucking ingrates out there.
Do you ever not only will I sing Country Roads, but Phil will do a top 10.
No, now you're pushing the fucking limit. I can't stand a top 10.
To your point, you ever look at the watch hours and time? And I'm looking at even on my channel, and I'm like, what the? How can there be that much watch time and that many things? And
there are human beings, probably Dave Swearingen, who's probably watched 43,000 hours of this podcast or listen to 43 hours of this podcast, right? And so when you do that and you look at our numbers, and it's what, you kind of go down a rabbit hole. You feel bad about yourself one morning, you wake up, it's raining, you've got a not so fresh feeling in your mouth and you're $400 short in your wallet.
Well, that's because it was raining then.
So what you do is you go to your fucking thing, you go to your YouTube page and you look at it and you start reading the comments or you start looking at the numbers and you start looking at you can only read "you guys suck" so many times. But when you're sitting there and you're like, are you kidding me? How the fuck? Okay. The girl over there that just bought a bunch of stuff at fucking, Aldi and she's opening up her fucking bag and counting shit. She's got 950,000 subscribers. But those are squishmallows. We've been doing this for 14 cocksucking years. 14 years,
we're an acquired
500 episodes, and we don't have 10,000 subscribers. That is the definition of I could hit subscribe, but that's a lot of work.
Well, I mean, they're looking for a rebate.
They're looking for a rebate.
Is it really free? Once I said I've subscribed to you, there's a bit of weight that comes with that.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
You got to buy her for the G400C.
Well, there's a
You
human,
really do. Hey, Sleepy, hit it.
there's a human cost in watching this.
There's
podcast.
human cost. Right, yeah. It's called brain rot.
We got right here.
All right. Hold on. Apparently there's some action.
Scott Dennis has said he will buy the G400C for our 500th.
Look at that.
Shit.
That's fantastic. Beer money.
Donk
Is there a donk gave us $5 worth of beer money. Yay. You see, I'm going to log into my wife's account and like and subscribe. Yeah, that'd be our first female listener.
There you go.
That would be our first female subscriber. Oh my God, I'll pay another $6.99 if Tom sings leaving on a jet plane.
And I think he covered his bill, so Tom has to do it now.
Yeah, there you go. He covered the bill. That's a riot. Can I buy Swearengen's G400C?
Yes.
Here we go. Scott Dennis. Scott Dennis throws a challenge. He says, "Can I buy Swearengen's G400C on the 500th episode?" Well, so here, I'm glad you guys asked. So what needs to happen is I've got to. Please let me ride the Calibro 700 at least once before.
You do have to ride to the gas station to fill it up.
Before I deliver it to Steubenville, right? Or wherever Swearingen lives, down in the Inzer territory. So I'm going to have to do that. So I'm going to have to deliver that thing down there because I told him I would, and I don't lie. I'm going to deliver it down there to him. I'm going to give him his bike, and I'm going to pick up the G400C, and I'm going to bring it back. Right? And so it'll be here. And so let's do it. Yeah, somebody will buy that thing. It's a cool bike.
Well,
You will not be disappointed.
Apparently, Scott is getting it.
And there's Swearingen. He says straight up, look at this. We have commuted. We've put two people in touch with each other, and they are going through us.
Yeah.
We are the human centipede right now of motorcycle buying activity. It's in one end and out the other, right from Swearingen's mouth to Scott's ears. That's happening on Cleveland Moto.
This is affecting reality.
You are watching a live sex act right now on YouTube. Yes. Fluids and finances are changing hands right here on the radio.
28 people are witnessing this right now.
I got to tell you, it only takes 246 of them to subscribe. Yeah. Crest 10,000.
I like the one guy's idea of going into his wife's account.
That's a great idea.
And your girlfriend's account, too.
And your girlfriend, too. That's two whole things.
So there's 9,700 out there.
Right.
It only takes 250 of them to do that with their girlfriend or their wife's account. So
come on,
Right.
boyfriend. We're not.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Significant other.
Yeah,
Hetero
you can subscribe with your Pornhub account.
Right.
Like, you don't need to use the one you use at work.
Yeah. And send us those links. It's fine.
I know you've got Big Boss Dick 69 at gmail.com hiding somewhere that you only use for Pornhub. That's not the one you use at work. Use that one. Subscribe with that one.
And if you want the OnlyFans link, just let us know.
That's fine. Though Sleepy keeps talking about doing an OnlyFans. It's
a lot of money, man.
I just don't know.
I don't know. What do you mean? I mean, we told everybody.
What are they, $4.99 a piece?
I don't know. I shaved my butthole. What?
Are they $4.99 to do a Pornhub?
What do you want to see?
Or was that?
What?
What's that?
I'm confused.
It's not Pornhub. What's the other one? OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
We can set up an OnlyFans, and then the people only pay $4.99 a piece.
Oh.
And then they have an excuse for why they're going to OnlyFans.
Yeah.
We're the cover story.
You could also do our stream on Pornhub.
Yeah, but
then people have to go to
It's got Pornhub in the name.
I kind of like
but
that.
You could totally smokescreen your family and be like, it's OnlyFans. I go to OnlyFans and go to the ClevelandMoto podcast.
That's right, because that was the original intent of the website.
That was the
before
idea.
It just became porn.
Right.
No, these guys.
And that's the smokescreen.
These guys just talk about motorcycles. It just so happens they're nude.
Okay, you don't understand. When you're laying down a smokescreen, the point is every time you listen to our episode, you listen to it through OnlyFans. So your wife gets used to you always being on OnlyFans. So she'll never pick up on it when she opens up your laptop and it's on OnlyFans.
And if you need a smokescreen for going to OnlyFans and it has to be that kind of thing, we'll send pictures of Sean.
I love how Thrustin Justin, don't talk about my girlfriend. My wife subscribes to this podcast. No, she doesn't. We have two female listeners. Liza and one other nameless.
Well, what's the one with the FJRs?
Oh, Wendy.
Look,
Wendy.
It's on screen.
Right. Yeah, I don't think Wendy subscribes to us though. She's got better. She's got better standards.
And gentlemen.
Lady and gentlemen.
Lady and gentlemen.
Happy Thursday, lady and gentlemen.
Oh, hey, Swearingen has asked for a joke, which is Christmas.
I have a joke.
That's a lot of pressure.
I have a joke. Anybody have a
Can you
joke?
perform, Chris?
Chris is going to try to perform a joke. Be careful, some joking might happen.
Irish joke.
Swearingen
my God.
just has earned a joke.
So little Johnny comes home from school and tells his dad that he's been kicked out of math class. So I said, well, what happened? And the teacher says, what's 2 times 3? And Johnny says, it's 6. Then the teacher says, well, what's 3 times 2? And the father says, what's the fucking difference? And the kid says, yeah, that's what I said.
And 2 hours and 38 minutes. I like that. I can get that one, man. I totally dig that. All right, guys. Well, it's been another fun-filled adventure hour of the Cleveland Moto Podcast, hour, 2.5, whatever. You know, we don't keep track of things around here. We invite you all to please ride fast and take chances. Play us out of here, Johnny Matt. Oh, he's not here.
No, Grumpy Sewer Guy.
Play us out here, Grumpy Sewer Guy.